Prophet of Thought series. Prophet of Thought series.
Welcome back to the Prophet of Thought series. What's good, everybody? And I got a real good show for y'all tonight. I got a very, very special guest tonight. The teacher, B.G.S, has decided to join us. Hold on, let me hook my other mic up, y'all, because I have to record double because I also broadcast through something else. So let me just get this here mic in front of me. Like I said, the master teacher B.G.S will be joining us tonight. I am so honored to have the master teacher on tonight. I mean, y'all have no idea what this means to me. Those of you who know B.G.S and know his work on YouTube, more than just a YouTuber. I mean, this man is like, I mean, I must have watched every single one of his videos that he's ever made. Even the ones before I discovered him, I went all the way back as far as I could possibly go. And I'm honored to have the master teacher on T.P.O.T. Before we get started, I'm just going to lay down a few ground rules. Y'all know how I run my stream. My moderators, y'all already know the deal. Anybody coming here disrespecting, saying anything crazy, just kick them right out. We're not going to, we're not going to tolerate no nonsense. We definitely not going to tolerate the master teacher. That definitely is not going to be tolerated up in here tonight. So mods, I have a few mods in here right now, and I have quite a few who are on my channel, so y'all already know what it is. Anybody say anything disrespectful, trolling, anything crazy, just throw them right out. No second chances or nothing. All right.
Yeah, you're harsher than I am.
without further ado, the master teacher B.G.S. What's good, master teacher?
I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be called the master teacher. You guys blessed me with that name, so I'm honored to have it. Can you guys hear me?
Let me get right into it, master teacher.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to ask you this question, and I know you've probably heard this question a million times before.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get tired of taking these brothers to school? Do you ever get tired of
it? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I think I get tired when people don't learn.
Okay.
If I've done the work, and especially people that have been on my channel for like following me for a year and a half, 2 years, and they know my work, and they still question me about something that I've gone over and over and over again, then that's when I get tired. If it's somebody that doesn't know or has a has a disagreement, then I don't mind that, but I do mind people that continually don't want to learn. If you don't want to learn, I'm not your teacher, or you don't think I can teach you anything, I won't feel slighted if you go find somebody else that fits your style. So, I don't mind it. Everybody doesn't have the same, what do they call it, learning technique. So everybody's voice doesn't speak to everybody, and I understand that because I'm that way. But I don't like people that continually come to me with the same questions over and over again, and I've addressed it. But that's the only time I get tired. Other than that, no. I love giving back because a lot of people have taught me and been patient with me. So I try to do the same thing.
Well, one thing I admire about you, Master Teacher, more than anything else, well, I admire your intelligence, of course, and the way you explain things, but I also admire your patience that you have, because you have way more patience. And I mean, you have the patience of a python. And even when people challenge your knowledge, which I don't know why they do that, but even when they challenge your knowledge, you still have patience enough to explain to them. And then you'll even do an addendum and come back with charts. And, I mean, you pretty much club these dudes over the head with facts. I mean, a lot of them still, they don't get it. I mean, they just don't get it. Does that frustrate you at all? That doesn't frustrate you at all?
Yeah, sometimes it does because it's what frustrates me is when somebody knows the answer. So if you've gotten down to the the an elementary level, and they know the answer, they just don't want to be wrong. Instead of, I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I'm trying to find a base level we can kind of come to an understanding so we can build up to them, because I'm trying to get them somewhere. I'm trying to get them somewhere. In other words, open their eyes to see something, consider something they never considered before, and they don't want to do it. The thing is, that's when I know I'm wasting my time.
Wow. So you are a scientist, correct? That's what you are, right?
Yeah, that's what I
They
trained to be. When I was in school. Yeah.
Okay. On this, what made you come to YouTube? Like, what made you, put your lessons on YouTube? And, did you think you could reach a bigger audience, or?
Actually, I came to YouTube originally is because in real life, we had my group had done this, um, say, on a smaller scale. And once the conscious community, like in the conscious community, if you're in the conscious community, you probably know who I am and who my group is. We had done this for years, but the thing is, what I found out is that in the conscious community, um, we were afraid to actually go outside of it and actually explore why our people weren't thriving or accepting answers that they should. And I said it has to be bigger than us. And sometimes, in the conscious community, you know it because you're in the conscious community. Sometimes we kind of live in like that bubble, that black bubble, where everything that doesn't exist inside that black bubble doesn't exist. In other words, all the problems are inside that black bubble, and that's not always true. Because we're only a small part inside of a bigger whole. And so I decided to come on YouTube and actually explore the bigger whole. And then I did that as far as like when I had my MGTOW channel, because the MGTOWs are actually exploring the dynamics, not only society, but also the dynamics between men and women. So I got into that. And then when Adagon Forest started the IPMOR, it gave me a chance to actually talk about Black issues. Because in the MGTOW, on the MGTOW side, is mainly white. And anytime you start talking about Black issues, you're going to get some kind of friction. And while I don't mind going up against white folks because I give them the club too, but the thing is that when you have a channel, you have friction. Um, it gets in the way of everything else. But the IPMOR channel allowed me actually explore um, my community and Black men especially, because Black men weren't getting the answer. So I said, let me bring what I have done for the last 13, 14 years and bring it to the IPMOR channel. Instead of just talking about women and talk about relationships and I hate women, let me bring what we have been doing to the IPMOR channel, so brothers can actually get a wider view. Because I always say on my channel, I don't want sheep, I want shepherds. And and when I talk to my subs, I'm really hard on them sometimes. I said, stop thinking like a sheep, because when you think about the individual, you think about what's wrong with you and what your experience is, instead of going to the higher level and thinking about the whole, then you're sheep. And I don't want sheep, I want shepherds. because shepherds see the whole. Shepherds see the actual what's going on in the world and how you fit in it and how the whole society fits in it, because the shepherds have to lead. Just like our managers have to lead. Our managers see things from the top down, not from the bottom up. And I want black men to start seeing things from the top down instead of bottom up, instead of being being affected by it and being victims of it. Take control of it, get the knowledge, and actually reverse that and play the same game that your white managers have been playing for 200 years. That's what I wanted to bring to it. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, I'm gonna hit you with as many questions because you
Go.
know, whenever I get around you, I'm always asking you questions, Master Teacher.
Mm-hmm.
What what makes you come up with your topics? I mean, do you just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going to talk about this or I'm going to talk about that? I mean, what makes you come up, with any, because you talk about so much stuff. Like what makes you come up with your topics?
Oh, okay. A lot of times there's, I think of, if you ever talk, I think I played this video one time about George Friedman, and he says he describes a frame, and there's pieces that go into that frame. Okay, you have the frame, you have the outline of how the world works or how your society works, and then there's pieces that go in it. And I notice when there's pieces that are missing that are vital, that's when I put the topic in. Okay, I haven't talked about that, and for them to understand whatever I'm talking about over here, they need to understand this. So that's when I come in and said, okay, what is it that I can come across that I can actually show them and explain to them where they can actually understand it about this particular subject and where it fits in with the rest of the puzzle. So I actually see, well, okay, I actually come and say this piece is missing. Like I said, it with say with the Monahan report. Okay, it actually came up as a question. It actually came from white people. As a matter of fact, they asked you, why did in the 60s did they give black people civil rights and affirmative action and on and on and on. So I said, okay, what document can I actually come to and explain to not only white people but also black people, because we don't know it either, why white people actually did what they did. And because white people think that um, they gave us civil rights and they gave us affirmative action and they did all this stuff for us because they felt sorry for us. No, that wasn't actually the reason. They needed to assimilate us, and to assimilate us properly, they had to bring us up to a standard. And Monahan report was about that report. If you want to bring these people in to be American citizens as you want them to be, these are the steps that you're going to have to take, because these are the things that are wrong with them because of the experience that they have had in America for 200 years. So that report kind of crystallized exactly what was wrong with this, why it was wrong, what they found out was wrong with it, and what America as a group, as the manager of the United States needed to do to actually correct the problem so they could assimilate us more easily.
Do you believe, Master Teacher, do you believe they were right about us? Do you believe that they were correct in how they, kind of assessed us as black people, as black society on a whole? Do you think that they were right?
They were right because one, they know what they did, and number two, they didn't go by white people. They went to the black scholars, from Du Bois on up. Everybody that has written anything on the black family, all the sociologists, they went to them. Okay, what do you see is wrong with these folks, and how do we get them from here to there? And they went by their recommendation. They were, in that fact, if you look at the Monahan report, it has proven to be correct, because even Monahan noticed that our societies are at cross purposes. In other words, the black society does not work like the white society does, even though we have been in this country side by side for, back then 200 years. There was a difference, and he was correct. So the remedies, they needed a different remedy for us, that was opposed to what the remedy they would use for white people. So you can't, in other words, you can't, if you have a group of people that has been socialized differently, you can't use the same remedy. In fact, when they did use the same remedy, it got worse for the black families rather than better. welfare and that kind of stuff actually saved and actually boosted the white families. It didn't do it for us. It actually made because the remedy made our problem worse.
Wow. As we are seeing now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so as we go along as
Mm-hmm.
a society, as Black folks, I've often talked to you on other streams and hangouts,
Mm-hmm.
and you that uh, Black society will soon be divided
By
by
class.
class. Could you
Mm-hmm.
expound on that a little bit?
Yeah. As you get absorbed, as you get absorbed by the dominant society, because the dominant society is not divided by race, it's divided by class. And as they absorb, starting with the upper classes, the smarter people, the more intelligent people, the more capable people first, as they drain those people off first, um, and they push the lower class. You can see it as they gentrify the neighborhoods. They push the lower classes into your neighborhoods and they mix them together. So in other words, they're not only going to divide um, us by class, but also themselves by class. You can already see it. I'm sure if you're in a larger city, you see poor white people walking up and down your streets. You see white panhandlers. You see, all kind of white drug addicts and stuff like that, because they're mixing, they're forcing the assimilation. So eventually you're going to have one big group, um, all assimilated. The upper class is going to be with the upper class. You're already starting to see how the separation as we speak, and the middle and what's left of the middle class and the lower classes will be all jammed together. As in a catch as catch can, because as they force you out of your neighborhoods and out of the urban centers, where they're forcing you to. It's not empty land. It's out there amongst the hinterlands where the poor white folks are, and the hipsters and the techies and all stuff. They're gonna move back into the urban center, and because they're not pushing people out by race, they're pushing out people by money and earnings and class.
Wow. So what does that mean? What does that mean for Black society? If I'm not sure if we'll ever be, if they will treat us, if society at large, or should I say the white power structure, if you will, I'm not
Hmm.
sure if they will ever treat us equivalent. Will the white power structure always look at even the trashiest of white people more favorably than they do, even though they're the bottom of the barrel white people?
Eventually, no. Eventually, no. Because as I said, it was going to take 7 generations, and if you count from the World War II generation from 1945, you count that as one. Boomers is World War generation is boomers actually would be one. Boomers are one. Generation X is two. Millennials are three. The Generation Z is actually the fourth. That's right in the middle. That's the middle generation. Um, that's actually started being born in what year 2000. So they're just now coming of age, and then what, 5, 6, and 7. So in other words, you still have this middle generation, still have 3 more generations to go. So by that time, you already been the boomers were started to be assimilated, acculturation, I should acculturation, and then you've been assimilated. Either the Generation Z and the generation millennials are being assimilated right now. In other words, they're taking on white values. You can hear it. You hear the way they talk, because even amongst them, you don't hear the all the Southern dialects and the Black dialects like you used to anymore. I mean, you hear it, but most millennials talk the King's English very well. So their children will be even better. Their children are actually going to start marrying more and more Hispanics and whites and Asians and whatnot. And then by the time they get to Generation 7, I would say we'll be the same percentage as the Native Americans are right now, right around 1 or 2%. And then you're going to have this big buffer class of what they call it, the multi, the what is it, the multi, what do they call them now? not what is it, not by race, multiracial. Have this big, huge middle of multiracial people by
So,
which is another, I said, another 50 years.
so what do you think that's going to do far as black society's economic stature? Like,
There,
is there ever going to be a time where black economic stature is going to be higher than it is right now?
no, I think unless something drastic happens, I think black society will disappear in 50 years. It's just my opinion.
Wow,
Unless something drastic happens, we have to. Black people have to
wow,
make a decision. You know, what do you want to do? And I don't think that personally, I don't think there's enough black people that that really actually want to hold on to black society. I think we've done it. I think the boomers and maybe the Generation Xers kind of remember and have this fondness and this need to hold on to blackness. But I think as with the millennials less, and I think their children will be less and less and less by the time, because millennials are the, like I said, the third. Their children are Generation Z. That's the fourth. That's right at dead in the middle. So we have actually three generations after that. So I say in 50 years, black society as we know it will be gone. It'll be an American society, um, fully, I said, assimilated, and then probably mostly amalgamated, which is a lot of intermarriage.
wow. So what happens to all those black people who are, I guess you would say, they're on the margins now? I mean, will they just disappear? Will their children end up marrying Hispanics and
Mm-hmm.
whites and Asians as well?
Yeah, yeah. If you look at it, you look at the stats. If you look at the stats, they already are. I think we're at. I think this generation is at millennials that are at, I think, like 25%. I think there's
Wow,
in, dating out and marrying out. I think it's 25% for millennials. So now they're in the middle. They're not in the middle. Their children are in the middle. So they're producing biracial children. Lots of I think the biracial category is the fastest growing in the country. So I think they're at. I think last time I looked, I think there were what 7 or 8 million biracial children of all stripes being born. So that's the trend. The trend could change. United States could lose enough power to where where things kind of splinter. It's kind of hard to predict when the United States is in flux. United States is in flux right now. But I'm saying if it follows this particular line, and this is something I'm sure you've heard it, and you're in the conscious community. I'm sure you've heard the rumblings that that the black uh, race, as we call it, or the black American group, as we call it, is going to disappear in about 50, 60 years.
wow. So mulattoes will be the new blacks.
Or whatever we're going to call them. Whatever we're going to call them. Like the Native Americans, they still call them Native Americans, even though a lot of them were mulattoes. Oh, you can look at the NBA, man. How many dark brothers do you see in the NBA right now?
Yeah, I've noticed. I've noticed the
If
change.
if,
I've noticed it.
if they're dark, normally they come from the African continent.
So far as, because you say I know you're well researched on, white folks dynamics as well as black folks.
Hmm.
So what do you see? What do you see happening as far as white people are concerned? I mean, are
Ooh,
going
they
to be
have.
more white people? Are there going to be less white people? Are they?
There's going to be less, depending on how you categorize white, because with white people they shift the category. Okay, before it sometimes it's like, okay, if you are European and you're not mixed and you're white, and then they'll say, well, now if you're from an Arab country that's not sub-Saharan, then you're white. So it depends on how you categorize white. If you're talking about the normal white European, then yes, they're going to take a beating because their fertility rates are so low. The fertility rates have been, because it's something I just recently looked at, because I never really looked at the white fertility rates. Their fertility rates have been at 1 point below 2 for the last, since I think before since 1950, 1962, I think their fertility rates have been below 2 right after the baby boom. The baby boom was, I think the fertility rates got up to be like 3.5, which it hadn't been since I think since the late 1800s. It hadn't been that high. That was the biggest boom of white people since the 1800s, and then it went down below 2, and it's been that way below 2 since like the since like maybe the mid 60s. So for basically 50 years, they've been below replacement, and that's basically all over the globe. So if you look at their fertility rates, you see 1.3, 1.2, 1.4. And I think the highest I think I've seen is 1.7. I think Canada was like at 1.5, but they're slipping down to 1.4. So basically, they have to mix, or they have to import people. That's what's going on in Europe. So they're losing their culture and losing their power rapidly.
So you said earlier that the black race or black society as we know it will disappear.
Hmm.
So young children that are growing up now,
Hmm.
should we be telling them to prepare them for this? What should we be telling our young children as far as black society goes? Or should I say, what should we be preparing them for?
Well, basically that's okay. Basically, the culture, uh, the internet, the schools that you send them to are already preparing them for them. Because I always say, what's the biggest factor in mating and dating and marrying? It's proximity. That's exactly why they put you next to white people and put you in white neighborhoods and put you next to Susie in school, because you will more likely be more open to actually dating and mating with Susie if you're next to her, if you go to school with her. If you grew up in if Susie is your next door neighbor, then you're used to having a white couple or white women or white men um, as your next door neighbor. So you're open to marrying them, or open to dating with them, or open to reproducing with them, because you've been socialized to.
Okay, well let me ask you your opinion on this. What do you think of interracial dating? What on that?
Uh, what do I think of interracial dating? Well, I am, of course, I'm a conscious black person. So, um, for me personally, no, I don't do it. Do I understand it? Yes, because I've gone to white schools. I've seen a lot of my classmates, male and female, marry people of other races because they went to school with them. I understand I'm a pragmatist. I have a lot of my other people in my circle that are optimists. I'm a pragmatist. Okay, it is what it is. So I can get mad about it. I can get upset about it. What I'm saying, like I tell them, if you want to continue to be a black society or be in a black society, you're probably going to have to leave these shores, because the stated goal of the United States is not to have a black society, and it has been since the Haitian Revolution.
So what should we be telling these brothers
If,
who
hmm
want to build a black family? And we talk about this stuff all the time. It's all over YouTube. If they're looking to build a black family and build a legacy, I mean, as within black society, there's not a lot out there who's trying to
uh,
start his own
it,
family and legacy.
you got to find. You're going to have to find. If you're a black man, you're going to have to find a woman of like mind, and you're going to have to either homeschool your children or send them to an African-centered school, so that they don't get socialized or brainwashed by the Prussian school system. The Prussian. In fact, I was just listening to Ernie Smith, um, who's the founder of, what, not the founder, but he's the proponent of ebonics, because he wants Ebonics as a second language so that we can prepare that the school system that we have already will prepare our black children better. And he was saying the exact same thing. The reason that they don't try to uh, teach your children better in a white school system is because they do want you to be at the bottom. So the thing is, the school system that you put them in is to socialize them to thinking like white people, and that's how come they run the doll test. That's how come they ran the doll test in the first place, to see if they could socialize black children into believing that in the white structure that they have, and they keep running it to see if the socialization is actually taken. They don't run it to talk about racism. Racism doesn't matter to our managers. Okay, racism is and always will be there amongst groups. Some people are going to be uh, proponents of it. Some people are going to be victims of it. But it always is. What they want to know is how are you socializing your citizens, because like it or not, we're United States citizens, and any any manager wants a cohesive society. Any leader of a country doesn't want a splintered society. And after 1945, United States didn't want a splintered society anymore. And said, how can we bring these people in, just like we brought in the Italians, the Greeks, the Germans, the Jews, on and on and on and on. How And so they're taking us through the same process. If you look at the Native Americans, they didn't do us as harshly as the Native Americans. And the Native Americans, they basically just took their children. They didn't give them a choice. You can't educate your children. You can't raise your children. We're going to send them to boarding schools. And slowly but surely, they socialize those Native American children into thinking that they're white. So that's how come you know, 100 years later, less than about 100 years later, you don't have any Native Americans anymore. You have a very few that are still on a tribal reservation that still cling to what's left of their people, of their heritage. And the only reason it hasn't been done to us is because, one, they needed us as a labor force, for so long. And when they didn't need us as a labor force anymore, now there's too many of us. So now they have to slowly but surely whittle down our numbers as far as that is concerned. And the only reason that you still have as large of a group of black people, as we call it, is because the biracial still are still considered as what? As black. You probably have
Hmm.
less black people than you actually think. But the thing is that the biracial children, the product of black people, are still identify as black. What happens when they don't? I would like to know how many multiracial or biracial children identified as black and are counted as black. I would really like the census to actually take account of that and actually see exactly how many uh, black people are actually already multiracial or biracial. That'd be an interesting thing to actually find out and see how far we are along that particular path.
Wow. So
I mean, I don't
let's
mean to depress you, man, but these are the questions that
no
you're
no 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 no
asking.
no
I
no
know,
no no no.
I know
I'm just sitting here. I learned from you, master teacher.
I
I
mean,
just listen.
I know, but I get a lot of
I'm
pushback
writing
when I
some of
talk
this
about
stuff
this.
down, actually.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I get a lot of pushback about, things like this. It's like when I talk to white folks, we talk about their low birth rates and what's going on with China and Europe and that kind of stuff. I depress a lot of white people when I talk about that. So I'm gonna say it's your stream. I don't want to be a downer on your stream, because this is not happy news. Let's put it that way. And
okay,
any of you
well,
guys out
I
there,
mean,
hit the like
but it's the
button.
truth.
We ain't got enough likes out here. Come on, y'all. He's bringing me
Yeah,
on. He's asking me questions that you want to know. At least give him some likes. At least give him
yeah,
some
man.
likes.
Hit the like button, man. We got like 25 people in here, man. We only got 16 likes. Everybody hit the like button, man. Come on.
Come on. But
The
anyway, man,
master teacher has spoken.
I mean, I'll answer your question, but I know this is kind of stuff that people don't like to hear, because this is really somber.
Yeah,
I,
well, I
I
don't.
I had to learn how to deal with this myself. So.
I talk about a lot of stuff that people don't like to hear too.
Hmm.
So I mean, often when you tell the truth,
Hmm.
one thing about us as black folks, a lot of us, we don't like to hear the truth, but we still need to hear it. We may not like it, but we do need to hear it. You know, it's a hard pill to swallow, but when it goes down, it heals. It's a healing pill. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Um, let's talk a little bit about Black culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I often have conversations with people, you know, off of YouTube and off of media, and people, especially people when I'm in New York City, you know, because I hang around a lot of the RBG crowd when I'm in, you know, in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and they often talk about how slavery and submissiveness to white
Mm-hmm.
people is in our DNA and all
Yes.
that kind of stuff,
Yes.
which I have a problem with. So what's your perspective on that?
Culture is extremely sticky, man. That's the whole thing. Culture is extremely sticky, and yeah, that's another reason I actually came to YouTube, because I was reading Quigley's book. Uh, the first one was the evolution of civilizations, and then tragedy and hope. And something that he said stuck with me. He said that human beings can't live without a culture. Can't live without a culture. Culture, it takes a long time to develop. And when you shatter a group of people's culture, what they have to do is they have to take what's left of their shattered culture, mix it in with the new culture that they're in, and try to piece it together and try to operate. And what Black people have been carrying for the last 100 years is a shattered culture. Because if you look at Black people as a group, as an amalgamated group, we didn't come from we didn't come from a place called Black land or Negro land, or in one spot where we all have the same language, the same culture, the same history. We came from far and wide, all over the sub-Saharan continent. Then they brought us here into a foreign environment, which actually that you have to adapt to, under with a different language that you have to adapt to, and then a harsh experience. So basically, you basically, by taking you from your land, number one, breaks your culture. Mix you in with a group of other Black people that that share your skin color but not your culture, is another mixing or shattering of your culture. And then to send you through this slavery experience, and then and then a harsh treatment that we're in a different land. Basically, they ground your culture to dust. So basically, Black people have mixed up that dust and try to reform a coherent culture. And that's one of the reasons why we're studied all over the world. How does this group of people, the diverse group of people that share one skin color, come to a foreign land under this kind of extreme oppressiveness, form together this amalgamation of a basically screwed up culture, and then continue to operate? Because every other group of people, ethnic group that actually does it, dies out, and they can't understand. It's like we're like the bumblebee. Nobody can understand how the bumblebee flies with such small wings, and we're like that bumblebee. How does Black people survive? Even Monahan said it. The miracle is not that Black people have a screwed up culture or all messed up. The thing is, how do they survive with the culture that they have? Because it's unlike any other group on the planet. The black the Black American culture is unlike any other group on the planet. It is a patched up, pieced together culture that we have. And the thing is, what Monahan and the manager are trying to do is actually fix the culture enough to where they could actually absorb you. Because we're not a patriarchy. We're a matriarchy. But the thing is, we're not a matriarchy that runs like a matriarchy. We're actually a malformed matriarchy, and and then with the inside of a patriarchy. So the thing is, our culture is actually out of sync with the rest of the society that we live in. It's not correctly formed, and the thing is, it's never been fixed. The thing is, we're on a boat where we're constantly patching holes to keep ourselves from sinking. So it's not that slavery, slavery did break the culture. It did, because it just did. The thing is, we never had the opportunity to actually fix it. And what we're doing is you're floating on a culture we're constantly plugging in leaks. You can actually see it: drugs, the family, uh, out of wedlock births, everything that you can think of. Man, we're constantly pushing in corks and screws and tape trying to keep that boat floating. And because it's been damaged, it's never been correctly put to ground, built up from the ground up and fixed. And it's like I said, it's a miracle that us as black people have um, not only survived, but even in some points thrived. And that's the part that sociologists they marvel at it, and it's something that's probably never been done in the history of people that has actually happened. So that's how come we're always studied, if that makes sense.
So that I mean, I often hear people say that, if you get black people away from other black people, they'll do better. So if we were to take an infant, a black infant, and put him with its family or white, someone else besides a black family, do you
Hmm.
believe they would be better off?
Man, okay, you ask me tough questions. The truth, the truth. The truth is yes, probably so. If if um, if you took the person from an infant, the only reason that it doesn't work in America, especially white America, is because it's still white America. Okay, if you could take a black infant, put him in another culture, and raise him as that, and you didn't have the cultural racism, yeah, they would do just fine, probably even better. In fact, they've tested it that where if you take a black male from a child and put him within a white family, it raises his IQ like 15 points.
Mm, mm, mm.
Wow.
It raises his IQ like 15 points. I mean,
Oh,
it's yeah, but I
I
mean,
do believe we've been joined by Brother Valdez. What's good, Brother Valdez?
What's going on, brother Xavier? What's good, B.G.S?
hey, what's going on, brother Valdez?
Nothing much, same old, same old. Just listen to y'all talk about this topic.
Yeah, I
Yeah, we
mean,
got the
he's
master
asking me
teacher
tough.
on here.
He's
I'm
asking
sitting
me
here
tough
writing some of this
questions.
stuff down.
Yeah, you're asking me tough questions, man. You're asking me really tough questions, man. It's like, but I'm saying it is what it is. Normally, if this was my stream, man, they'd be all over me because it's the answers that they don't like. And
Mm,
Yeah,
even
well,
though,
the reason why I'm asking you, master
mhm.
teacher, because these are questions that I always wanted to ask you. I mean,
Oh, okay,
I got
okay,
like so many questions in my
okay,
head
okay,
that I
shoot,
want to ask you. I'm
mhm.
trying to just
Yeah,
filter out the best ones. I'm
yeah.
letting the best ones come to the top.
It's best to raise. It's and Valdez can attest to it. It's best to raise a child or children in the best, most cohesive culture that you can. And
mm-hmm.
we already know, man, the black culture, the black culture, even though it runs, as it does, it's not the most cohesive. It's because it's malformed. It can be toxic, and it shows up as toxic. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's not even something that's in debate. This is what the sociologists and people that study say behind our backs, even the black ones. They say this behind our backs, and then they have a different face when they actually come forward. But if you read their journals, man, they talk about this all the time. I mean, the statistics bear it out, man. I mean, racism does play a part of it, a large part of it. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but um, it's not just the children that are in prison. The children that grow up to be in prison. Uh, the dis, there's no way you can have a divorce rate that's 80%. Out of wedlock, a birth rate that's damn near 80%. Your children consistently at the bottom, even when you allot for immigrants. You have immigrants that come over, can't speak the language, that get into schools that actually do better than our own children, as a group. So what I'm saying is, it doesn't take a mastermind or a genius to know that there's something wrong with the culture as it is. I mean, there's lots of things. We're not stupid people. We're not dumb. We're not idiots. The thing is, there's something fundamentally wrong that we cannot get a hold of, and a lot of it is because we don't want to admit that it's broken. because to admit that it's broken, we have to say that we're broken people, and that's, especially our women, our women really do not want to admit that the culture is broken. They really don't. And they really don't want it, because that would mean they would have to take steps and responsibility to come in and actually fix it. You have to start doing a lot of the, like I said, if I was the king of the planet, a king of Black America, there would be no voluntary marriages. It would be arranged marriages, and men and women would have to stay together for life and raise their children properly. None of this. None of this. I'm going to get with Pookie and Ray Ray and have, 3 different children by 3 different guys, and one guy having 30 different children and whatnot, and can't take care of them. It will be none of that. I don't give a fuck if you don't like him. I don't give a fuck you don't like her. Okay,
Well,
you guys are compatible. You guys have to come together because we need to make the society right. Go ahead, Valdez.
well, you know what it is, B.G.S. It's the thing that's broken in
Mm-hmm.
Black people, whatever form that may take.
Mm-hmm.
It's become part of Black identity.
Mm-hmm.
So because I think I may have been reading something. I think it may have been a psychology book, but it was talking about how some issues are difficult to fix in certain people because it has become a part of their identity.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so once you tell them that
Mm-hmm.
they shouldn't be doing that,
Yeah.
it
Because your culture, I was talking to, who was I talking to about the super ego, which is your cultural your cultural manager, your cultural morality, right? That's fixed. And you're basically all your rules pretty much are set from according to Freud, from 0 to 7. In fact, the Prussian school system swears by it. Your morality is set from 0 to 7. That's how come they don't want to get you after 7. They want to get you as early as possible to socialize you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Um, so basically, most of your cultural rules are set from 0 to 7. You might be able to add on to them more or less, but the thing is, that's where it's set. So in other words, that's how come when you ask certain people to change certain things when they get to be adults, it's too late, because they're all their cultural morals are set. It's going to feel uncomfortable for them to do something else.
yeah,
So you have to make them, or the environment has to make them do something else.
yeah. That's like my cousins. I have cousins that were pretty much like born and raised in Virginia,
Hmm.
like in the country part of Virginia. And I've told them numerous times, like, I don't really think the way you guys think. Like I don't have a I don't have a kinship with them the way they think, like their thought process.
Hmm.
And they don't understand that. And I tell them, like, I was raised in multiple places. I didn't get here until after 7 years old.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like everything that was already ingrained in me
Hmm.
is what made me who I am. So it's kind of difficult for me to identify with a lot of the things they identify with, because really that's all they knew. They had seen nothing else until they got
Hmm.
grown.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, you look at an example. I'll give you an example. Donovan Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He was raised on a military base in a mixed environment.
Mm-hmm.
The way he acts, the way he dresses, the way he talks
Mm-hmm.
is his cultural identity. He does not have a quote unquote Black cultural identity. He
Mm-hmm.
has a mixed, you would say, I wouldn't call it mulatto, but a mixed cultural identity. You
Yeah.
can tell,
Yeah.
because he will date Black women, Hispanic, white, doesn't matter to him. He has no friction about dating outside, because according to him, it doesn't matter to him because he wasn't raised in that environment.
Well, I mean, you could hear it. You could hear it in you could hear it in his voice.
Hmm.
And most people think that that's, oh, well, he sounds. Most people say, well, he sounds like a white guy, but people don't realize, like, when it comes to linguistics, it's more than just the sound.
Yeah.
It's certain things that's being said a certain way
Mm.
that you can immediately identify as, oh, I know what culture that's from.
Right.
You know,
I
but
mean,
yeah,
but that is part of the problem, because, like you said, it become your culture, your your cultural, that super ego, that culture is your identity. That's what you identify as, because that becomes that informs the ego of how you should be.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to actually, it's almost impossible to change it for most people.
Yeah.
Impossible to change it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like that's how come that's how come they want to, that's how come the United States wants to send you to a public school that is monitored by them, with the curriculum monitored by them, so that you will have a American identity. If anybody's ever traveled any place else, you will notice that 90% of your identity is American.
Oh yeah.
We,
That's why I tell people that's how I immediately know I wasn't meant to be a follower, because whatever rule they had in school, you can bet I broke it. Every
Yeah,
single rule they had, I broke it.
yeah. Well, you're the 10%, man. You know, either you're going to be either, you know, they either push you into leadership, athletics, or prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, because I was one of those that started. I remember somebody, I forgot who did a study on it. They said that in young black males, they noticed they start to get in trouble around 4th grade. And I was like, you know what? That's exactly when I started, you know, getting suspended for fighting and different things.
Yeah, because because the self actually starts to emerge after 7 years old. You know, like 8, 9, and 10. So yeah, so that's when your self starts to emerge, and the person, the ego, or the person, the nature of that particular person starts to emerge, and yeah, you start to
So is
grade
that the
against.
beginning? Is that the beginning? Is that the beginning of our destiny, master teacher? Like after we're like 7 or 8 years old, are we writing our destiny from that point on? Like,
You start, yeah, you start, yeah. After
has our personality developed?
it's developing. In other words, before I would say, but you know, you have a personality when you're born. So your personality is there. Anybody who's ever had children knows that that child's personality core personality is there when a child takes its first breath. I mean, it's there. The thing is how it's modified and formed is by the parents, and that kind of actually starts to slack off after 7, when that personality actually emerges and separates from the parent. But the personality is actually there when you're born. But the thing is, that's the you, that's the self, and the mask, how it's displayed out to the public, actually starts forming after 7. You know, how you act towards the world, because inside, if anybody has children, like my baby daughter has been mean since she came out the womb, and she's still mean. Okay, but the thing is, how she displays it is actually informed how we raised her. Like, she's quiet with it. Okay, because that's how we raised her, because we knew she was mean. She's going to be mean. That's her personality. But the thing is, you're going to have to tamper it down to where you don't actually affect other people. So that's her outward personality. But if you actually got to know her, everybody knows, okay, she ain't changed. She hasn't changed. But yeah, that's
Let me
when you
ask.
start. Go ahead, X.
Let me ask you some. Let me ask you some political things.
Go ahead.
Politically, master teacher, how are we going to fare in, say, at Trump now? So Trump is going to, I assume Trump is going to do some things that are going to affect black people a little bit. But I mean, how are we going to fare? Because the maximum time he's going to be there is 8 years. I don't know how much he's going to screw
I
up in
don't,
that.
I don't think my over under for Trump is 2 years. I think Trump will quit before he reaches his 4-year term. But yeah, I don't think he's cut out for this job. No,
you think that'll be?
I think he'll resign, because I don't think his health is going to. He's not. Certain people are suited for that job, and I don't think Trump is suited for this job.
That's you know what? That's an interesting prediction.
Yeah, I said that from the beginning. Yes. I thought, you know, I had hoped he could do his whole 4 years, because you don't need to start elect the president and then him either get impeached or him quitting before his 4-year term, because that's a bad look. So I had hoped that he could make his whole 4 years. But after the first 6 months, I said, I don't know if this dude's gonna make it, because it hasn't been a year yet, and they're already talking impeachment. They're already Barbarians are already at the gate in his own party. So I don't think his health is actually going to allow him to finish his whole 4 years. And my over under is 2.
Yeah,
So
and
I'll be surprised if he makes it over 2 years. Personally, that's me personally.
And then in addition to that, it's too much of a damn media spectacle all the time.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, puts more pressure. You can't get anything done because it might not affect him because he's in there for 4 years, but it'll affect the congressmen and the senators that have to run and have to run with his message because he's pissing so many people off. And that's bad for business. And Trump is bad for business. We'll see how long he lasts. That's just my personal opinion. But the thing is, a lot of stuff that he's doing, it looks like he's doing it to us, and because he's Trump. But a lot of this stuff was already in place before he ever took his oath. Obama did a lot of stuff behind the scenes. He did it quietly, but a lot of this stuff was already in place. One president actually carries on the policy of the next because it's too difficult to undo what a president has done for 8 years. So he has to carry the policy along when it comes to what's going to happen to black people, as far as especially black women, is that the money's going to run out. The money has already run out. And to Obama's credit, he didn't pull the rug from underneath black people. He actually tapered it. And Trump might accelerate it a little bit, but he's not going to pull the rug either. It's going to be still a slow tapering. But I want black people to get be aware of it, that this is coming, and no matter who's in office, those bills have to be paid, and you're way over budget. And there's certain things America's going to have to do. America is trying to hold on to primacy as much as it can. That's like a lot of the money has gone to the military. So they're willing to suck money from you, the public, white and black, because white people are going to get hard when it comes to SNAP cards. Walmart's going to get hit. Section 8 is not just for black people, it's for them too. And they're going to get it snatched from underneath them. But the thing is, that's where the money's going to go. And it has to go. And when it goes that way, it's got to come from somewhere. And where it's going to come from, it's going to come from that first. In other words, people that aren't working or not trying to work, it's going to come from them first. Trump says, if you want your benefits, you're going to have to work. You can't, and we may cut back on the years that you're on it. So black people it's not just black women. It's going to be black men too, because a lot of black men have been doing that shuffle by, I'm not working, but I need a place to stay. And there's a lot of black women that have been accommodating. And it's going to, we're going to have to not only absorb these black women, but also these black guys that have been on the couch playing Madden and Xbox and stuff like that. Got to absorb them too.
The Kings, get off your asses.
The Madden Kings, and even the brothers on the block, man, that are doing stuff that's under the table, and that dark economy, as we call it. They can't rent an apartment or stay in a house or place like that because they don't have any legal income. Okay, them too. You got to absorb them too. So it's going to be something we're going to have to get used to. I mean, there's plans for it, but the thing is trying to get people adjusted to actually being outside the environment that they're in. It's going to be tough, but it is what it is. But as far as if I answered your question, I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Yes, but do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think, B.G.S, that black people adored Barack Obama?
Oh,
do you
yeah.
think that he was the person? Couldn't he have been the person to get up there and tell black people the truth?
No. No. They'd impeached his ass as soon as he did it.
It have got rid of him so fast that it made
it got so fast. Yeah. The one little thing he tried to do for black boys, man, he got damn near slapped down. That was something, my brother's keeper. Little bitty thing. Didn't cost the government hardly any money. Private money. You know how much hell he caught for that? From black women. Not just white people, but from black women.
So if he would get off their asses and stop having all these babies and get married and build families, that would have hurt him, wouldn't it? Would have hurt him.
Yeah, it probably would have. You know, it probably would have. He tried to say it a few times, in a certain way that one black men wouldn't get too upset about it, and black women wouldn't come down on him about it. And he tried to say it a few times, and I think he got rebuffed, so he never really said it again. They try to say it in quietly because that's his personality, but it's hard for somebody in office, in a White office, in a White House with a white Congress and all that, to actually tell black people what they need to hear. Because we know how hard it is.
Wow.
We know how hard it is, and we work with them every day.
You think we'll ever see another black president?
In our lifetime, no. If we see another black president, it's probably time to find someplace else to live.
Yep.
Because he was elected. He was elected for a very specific reason, and he wasn't elected to actually lead black people. He was accepted because the rest of the world did not want to see another white Anglo-Saxon in office, so they needed to throw them a card. So basically, the Chinese actually demanded that Barack Obama be elected. The Chinese, the French, and the English actually demanded that Barack Obama be elected. In fact, I read somewhere where most of Barack Obama was backed by the Queen of England. A lot of his political money came from the crown.
Wow, I've heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was watching.
Go ahead.
I was watching an episode of the cartoon Rick and Morty, and Rick was in the president's office, and on that cartoon they still got a black president, and the president said, "You don't see China coming over here shitting in this office." Rick looked at him. He said, "Of course not, because it probably was expensive."
Oh, good Lord.
That's on a freaking cartoon, you know. So yeah, so everybody know what it is, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, and that's the biggest reason he got elected. It wasn't black people didn't really elect Barack Obama. White people did. They needed another face.
If it was up to black people to elect him, he would have never got elected.
You don't think so?
Hell no.
I think so.
Hell no.
I think so.
Black folks don't. You know how many people said they voted for Barack that really didn't vote?
I think they did, man. I think just to see a black face, you know, because I knew what Barack Obama was before he got elected. But I'm saying, if I want a black face in the office, this is my only shot, and I took it. Voted for him twice.
But I think what who was that? I forgot who said it. Some comedian said it, but no, they said that about OJ. But I say this about Barack: we celebrated too damn hard.
Yes, we did. We didn't ask for anything.
We celebrated too damn.
We should have held his feet to the fire for the whole 8 years so we could get something. But we were so happy. We had a black family, and black women were so happy that Michelle was in there telling Barack what to do.
Yep.
So yeah, we did celebrate too much. Go ahead.
Haven't we set ourselves up? The fact that we didn't ask of Obama, we didn't ask anything of him, so
no, we didn't.
Made it so we've made it so that anyone who comes after him, they don't have to do anything. I mean, because they can pretty much say, "Hey, look, you know, you had a black guy and he didn't do it. Why the hell should I?"
Because you ain't black. That's what we're telling him. You ain't black. You ain't him. You ain't him. You know. Let me check. In fact, let me check your ghetto pass right now. No.
Wow.
As I come up, Trump knew he couldn't pull the same trick. He had to at least tell you something, promise you something.
Yeah, so man. I guess politically, I guess on the federal level, I'm a true believer of this anyway. I believe that in the big chair in the White House doesn't make any difference anyway. I mean, I think people should be more involved. You know, mayor, governor, you know, city council, that type of thing, because those things kind of affect you a little more directly. Should black people trying to seek those offices? Should black people should be trying to become mayor, city council,
Hmm.
governor,
Governor, state senator,
would
all
it
the way
make a
up. Yeah,
difference?
all the way up. Yep.
Would it make a difference?
I would say, what I would like to see black people actually is take over the school board first,
Mm,
because that's where it starts. That's where it starts. Your school board and your
wow.
police department, if you can, because that affects you more than anything else as far as black people, because that's where you get indoctrinated at.
You know how many people, done talk cash shit to me because I said that we need to have more black people become cops. That would solve the problem. It was like, hey man, what you talking about? Coming to cops.
Yeah.
Because we have been trained that cops are white.
Yeah.
Mm,
You see it on TV. Uh, if you go to school, all the little cartoons that you draw, that all the cops are white and all the
Yeah.
robbers are out. We've been taught that we shouldn't police our own neighborhoods.
Mm.
White people don't believe that. Our women
well,
don't
let's talk
believe.
about that. Let's talk about that. As a teacher,
Hmm.
far as law enforcement, I mean, I'm a true believer that black people should be getting involved in law enforcement too. I have a cousin who's actually a New Jersey State Trooper.
Hmm.
He's still a punk, but he's my cousin and he's a New Jersey State Trooper.
Hmm.
And thought that from a very young age that black people, I kind of thought that too, that
Hmm.
black people weren't meant to be, police officers
Hmm.
or, deputies or, the police chief or, whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
Always seemed to me that even when black people were involved in law enforcement, they were always like, the beat cop or the patrolman. They weren't really like a decision maker,
Hmm.
because I believe all that stuff comes down from the top.
Hmm.
So when you have these brothers getting shot and killed by the police and harassed by the police, whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
do you think that comes from the top? Is that coming from the top, or is that personality? Is personnel policy in the police department?
Uh, it's it's um it's it's just like you join an army, just like you being on any job. Okay, if you're there long enough, you're going to pick up what the culture of where you are, because there's not enough of you, and you have to work with these white cops every day. You start to pick up some of their habits and beliefs about criminals and what color they are and all that kind of stuff. So I think that if you're going to send black folks in to be police officers, you got to send them in mass, not just one or two, and sprinkle them in, and then slowly and then back them up when they're in there. A lot of times, black people don't back up the cops that are already doing the job. We hate them. We start despising them because they have a uniform instead of embracing them. So we have to do a better job, not
Mm.
only of putting black folks into these positions, but also protecting them when they get in these positions. So if they get demoted, or they get reprimanded for doing something for black people, we have to come to their aid and go down to their mayor's office, um, go to their police chief's office, and say, "Look, nah, we're not gonna have this. You want to police our community? Then we have to allow these black cops to do their job. We have to demand it."
Should should we should we be standing up for cops that are black themselves under the gun? Because I say that because I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and a brother got shot down here, and he got shot by a black, so they say.
Mm-hmm.
We had the whole, protesting and, blocking of the highways. You know how it goes. We had
Mm-hmm.
all of that going on down here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before people knew that the cop who had shot the brother,
Mm-hmm.
black. That was
Mm-hmm.
before that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once they found out that that cop was black
Mm-hmm.
and that the police department was trying to throw him under the bus as
Mm-hmm.
well, we as Black society, should we rally for those Black cops who are getting mistreated? Should we rally? Should we be rallying for them the way we rally for brothers who get shot by white police officers? Should we be rallying for blinding the shaft?
If that cop is righteous and he's doing his job, yeah, we should dig in and do our due diligence
No,
and find out the truth. And
no
then
chance of that happening, though, right?
well, what I'm saying is that's what we should do. You know, I'm
Okay.
not saying it's going to happen. That's what we should do. The easiest way to handle bad cops and bad police culture is go after the money. And I've said that before. If you are going after the cops, especially if it's white cops or whatnot, it's not going to do much good by protesting and all that kind of stuff. You go after the money so they'll feel it. And it's not just, and I've said it numerous times. It's your show. I don't want to get you bumped off of YouTube. I'll tell you privately. But I'll tell you what, Atlanta did it and New York did it. And they stopped all this, a lot of this police brutality and all that kind of crap that was going on with Black folks by going after the banks. That's what I will say. That's what they did. And that it has proved to be more effective, which is something that the powers that be do not want to get out. So I say it very sparingly.
Well, I've always been of mind to. I mean, I have a cousin that's a police officer,
Mm-hmm.
and he's different than he was when we were younger, as
Mm-hmm.
he became a police officer and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Of course, I guess you have to take on a different kind of persona, so to speak. And do you believe that if a brother does become a police officer, no matter where his background is from, do you think he's going to change? Because we often hear that we should be policing our own communities, but what kind of cops would we be?
Mm-hmm.
Be?
Well, the thing is, would you rather the police department be all white? Do you think you can get a better shake with a brother? All things being equal.
I think it would be better if the majority, if there's only five Black police officers in a police force that's 1,000 people.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's too
they
small.
would be more likely to assimilate to
But
the white cops.
they would have to, just out of self-preservation, they would have to. You have to send them in with enough numbers to where they actually can be effective. Because one here, one there is not going to do very much good. They will filter. They will filter for the people that are actually side with the way they think. So you have to have a bigger number, a bigger group.
Yeah, I think the issue with the police force, I don't think that would ever change unless that type of thing took place, where if Black people actually took on the police department, as far as, I would say, kind of similar to the way the Irish infiltrated the police department and kind of made it part of their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's, in my opinion, that's the only way it would ever change anything. It would have to become something that Black people actually took pride in doing. Like, if they took pride in policing their neighborhoods and being good cops, then it might change something. But
Yeah. I mean, the police and Black culture don't often mix.
nah,
Very
nah, it's
difficult.
like,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's like lions and hyenas.
It is basically. But I'm saying that's the only way to change the culture. And the second thing is to do a better job of policing our own neighborhood. Neighborhood watch, and not allowing the knuckleheads to do what they do in public. That's like in a white community. If you're gonna sell drugs or do something illegal, you can't do it on the corner.
Yeah.
You got to do it behind closed doors in your house.
Yep.
Because white folks will burn down your house. Okay. The whole neighborhood get together and they will torch your own house and nobody will see anything. So you will not be able to exist very long in their neighborhood if you cause a disturbance. If you do it quietly and discreetly, they'll allow you to do it. But we don't make that priority in our neighborhoods. We allow them to actually be on the street corners and cause all kind of ruckus and affect the whole neighborhood and all the kids and whatnot. So we need to do it something different as far as that is concerned. It's going to go on, but we have to do it a different way.
Yeah, but
So we had to do a better job.
wouldn't we be better off if we were? Wouldn't we be better off if we were teaching our people better? Well, I guess that all goes back to family and everything else. But I mean, if we were teaching our people better and grooming our children better, we wouldn't need the police as much in our.
That's true.
We wouldn't need them as much. We need the police because, I mean, we got a lot of, fools out there running around doing crazy stuff. So, I mean, if we were and grooming our children better, I mean, there wouldn't be as much need for the cops, would it?
No, it wouldn't be. But that would then we'd have to basically solidify the whole culture. That goes back to the whole culture piece. Men and women getting along better together, doing what they need to do rather than what they want to do. Like I said, if it were up to me, it'd be arranged marriages across the board. And then there would be none of that. You had to stay together. You had to raise your kids properly. And then you wouldn't have all this kind of stuff. Sometimes I think black folks can be too independent and have too much freedom. It sounds like authoritarian. And a lot of people say we need an authoritarian come in and make black folks do shit.
Yeah, that's why whenever I hear black folks talking about some, man, we ain't free in this country, nigga, please. Like the proof that you're free is the level of debauchery that we get into and are allowed to get into. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that says that American society isn't a free society, they obviously have not lived in a totalitarian society before. They have absolutely no idea what, just like I think I was watching Gary V and he was saying something about this day and age and how wonderful it is. And he said, now don't get it twisted. He said, I'm not delusional. Do I think that white men have more privilege than most people in this country? Yes, they do. I was actually shocked he said that. But he said that, and then he took it further. He said, but I wish that we had a time machine where we could go back in time and see just how difficult it is for just anybody to live in society the way it was back in the day compared to the way it is now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they really, like, people nowadays, especially black people, are very spoiled. Like they couldn't have lived in the Jim Crow South, like like during the freaking what was the worst? What was like the worst era? What was like the 50s
when the KKK was first formed? No, actually between 1900, I would say 1930 was when the KKK was reformed, where they actually were lynching people.
Like
that's how come the Garvey movement got its boost, because the anti-lynching campaign that was started in the North and the South. They're trying to keep black businessmen from getting lynched, and that's how come Garvey got the Garvey movement got its big boost, because they're actually lynching people. People don't realize how bad it actually was, in the Jim Crow South. The North wasn't that much better, but it was a hell of a lot better than the Jim Crow South. But I'm saying, if you go to say a authoritarian country, you'll say like China, Korea, Japan, Germany, to some extent, Russia. A lot of stuff that you think a lot of stuff that we take for granted, as far as being able to say stuff, being able to do things like that, you can't do there.
Hell no.
Can't do
Hell
there.
No.
You got to conform.
Say some messed up shit, and all of a sudden you just have, like, I tell anybody that complains about the way society is, go watch that movie V for Vendetta. And then just think about how that society is. Like, you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and somebody shows up, puts a black bag over your head, and you're never seen again.
Oh yeah. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Yep. Yeah, America is it's a police state, but it's a very open society. And for it to be open like this, you have to have a very, very strong police presence. Because you go any
Mhm.
place in the world, man, your house, you don't have open lawns. Okay, you got walls. Okay, that
Mhm.
surrounds your house. You go to Africa, you got a wall surrounding your house with glass on top to keep people from climbing over. Okay,
Mhm.
you have a compound. Okay, you don't have the nice little lawn where you can actually people can park out front and walk up to your front door. No, that doesn't exist in most of the world.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day I was watching Casey Neistat, and
Hmm.
he actually he went to South Africa
Hmm.
because his the girl he ended up marrying, her family was living in South Africa.
Hmm.
And he went there to surprise her, and he was like he went there to surprise her, and when he got there, he knew the area, but he didn't know which house it was. And he went up to the house, and there was walls all around it, and it
Hmm.
had like a gate.
Yes.
And he was like, he's like, I want to surprise them, but they have an armed guard.
Hmm.
And he's like, I don't want to. He's like, I want to surprise him, but I don't want to get myself shot either.
Hmm.
And I did, I've never been to South Africa or anything like that. So I was just wondering, like, the moment I saw that, I picked up on it real quick, like, oh shit, I just thought about it. Yeah, they might actually have to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not an open society like this is because they don't have a really, really strong police state. And the United
Mm.
States have a very, very, even though we don't see it, has a
Mm-hmm.
very, very strong police state. It's got layers of police state from the beat on the from the cop on the beat all the way up to the National Guard,
Yeah.
and they all will react immediately to a threat. Immediately to a threat.
Well, I mean, you when you think about it, it would have to be that way.
Hmm.
If you look at American just the history of America. If you look
Hmm.
at the type of shit we do in America, like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers like America. I'm surprised America is what it is today, just off the strength of like the way people pretty much just used to do whatever the hell they wanted to do. Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say the same thing.
It's called a Prussian school system. You've been socialized to act a certain way. It,
mm,
it's subtle, very subtle brainwashing. People sleep on the Prussian school system, except for the people that actually implement it. I always look at Nkrumah in Ghana because Ghana has five main tribes, and he wanted to blend all these tribes together so they have a Ghanaian identity. So what he did is he implemented the Prussian school system, and he sent you couldn't be educated in your own tribal homeland; it had to be bused someplace else. So
mm,
he did that for 20 years, and after 20 years, guess what happened? They knew their tribe, but they didn't have a tribal identity anymore. They had a Ghanaian identity.
hmm.
That's what the school system's for. That's how come they implemented it.
Yeah. Well,
In fact,
what I want to ask the master teacher about now is
hmm.
and now, master teacher, because
Oh boy, here we
I
go.
want you. I need to hear some of this. Let me do a little station. Let me do a little station identification first.
Okay.
You listening to the Proper Thought series right here on the T.P.O.T network YouTube page. We will be joined by my New York City correspondent, teacher Tanisha, momentarily. I do believe. I know she's got some questions for the master teacher as well. Make sure
Hmm.
you like, share. I take the link to the video and put it on your YouTube page, your Twitter, whatever you got going on, so we can get a few more people up in here.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, master teacher.
Yes,
Now
sir.
we often talk about baby mamas and you
Mm.
know of such.
Hmm.
Do I know me? I'm gonna say what I believe. I guys where I am, and I tell them, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I tell them right up, do not get involved with baby mamas. I tell them that right off the rip.
Hmm.
And I have women who have problems with me saying that because
Hmm.
a lot of them, I'm going to say the majority of
Hmm.
them are baby mamas.
Mm-hmm.
So tendency to get angry with me because I tell, young guys not to get involved with these type of women. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong by telling them that.
No, especially in this
Because
day and age. Yeah,
I think they deserve better than that. I think a
yeah,
young brother deserves better than that. I really do.
yeah. They never suggested it, even back in the day. They never suggested that you do it because it's always going to be a rift when you try to blend a family. Um, and nowadays, the old rules that we used to have don't exist anymore. Like back in the day, I think I was saying this on Angry Man's channel. I think one time. Back in the day, um, if you took on a woman with children, okay, everybody got on code. He leads the family. He's working. He's taking care of you. He's the father of the family. You do what he says. I don't care what it is. Okay. If he's not trying to harm you or do anything foul to you, you do what he says. Period. And the woman would back that up. And in fact, the man could actually get on the phone, call the father of the children, talk to him, and put those kids on the phone. He will tell them exactly the same thing. You're living in that man's house. You follow his rules. Period. That kind of sentiment doesn't exist anymore. So I would tell any man, okay, if you don't already have kids and you're not already a baby daddy, don't get involved with a baby mama. If you're a single man with no kids, avoid it at all costs because you're setting yourself up for a headache, especially in this day and time.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all heard it here from the master teacher. Don't
Hmm.
do it. Do
Because
not do it, young
don't
man.
do it because she's it's hard enough to get these women to follow your rules as it is without children. If she has children, she's already had another man, she's already had children with another man or a couple of men, okay, that's the issue already. You already know she can't follow rules. Okay, then you're gonna get her with other children. She's supposed to side with her children. She's supposed to side with her children. Where does that leave you?
Well, in addition to that, these single men, they need to stop doing that because these single dudes that don't have any children, they need to stop doing that just off of the strength of women need to learn that they can't just be having kids all willy-nilly and still be able to get an eligible bachelor.
Yes.
So that needs to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. They stopped shaming single mothers long time ago, back in the 60s and early 70s. They stopped shaming them.
Mm-hmm.
And that
So
that
what
in,
should so what
go
should the
ahead.
young brothers do? What should they do? I mean,
It's some
because
standards.
we're inundated, we're inundated with them, So what does a young black brother do? What does he do? Does he get a white woman? Does he get a Hispanic woman? Does he go to Brazil? Does he go to
He
Africa? I mean, what
I
does
would, I
he
would,
do?
I would say if you if you really want to get married, you really want a wife, and you can't find a suitable wife, um, in your culture, um, if you're not already open to marrying outside your race, you want to marry inside your race. Import her. Go to Africa and bring her back. I mean,
Mm,
your chances is probably better going to outside of the country, getting a woman and bringing her back than it is actually having a woman inside the country. In fact, they showed that the divorce rate for immigrant wives are less than the American divorce rate. So your risks aren't any higher. So if you want a black woman and you can't find a suitable one here in the States, go get you one from outside the States.
so, but you still risk her becoming Americanized, do you not? You risk
You,
that, right?
yeah, but the
She's
thing
over
is,
here about 6 months.
but most of your social morals are set from 0 to 7. So if you
Mm,
get her and she's
okay.
18, 19, 20, yeah, it'll be modified. She can't go off the rails, but the likelihood that she's gonna go off the rails is a hell of a lot less. In
Wow.
fact, statistics bear it out. In fact, like I said, the immigrant wife, like I said, my brother, he married a Filipina, and he's been married to her, and she was a baby mother. She had a couple kids already, but they've been married 30 years now. So, um, it is what it is. Your odds are better. The black divorce rate is 80%, man, damn near 80%. So,
Mm.
so I mean, even if you got any other woman on the planet, it can't get any worse than that.
Yeah, because I know that you have a channel,
Mm,
B.G.S, for women.
mm-hmm,
And do you find that on your channel, well, are women open on your channel? I've watched it a few times.
mm-hmm.
And do you find that women are more open to the truth when they come to your channel, or do they come to your channel because they, I don't know, feel they're going to get less of the truth, or other guys like me or Valdez may or may not be present? I mean,
I think just by having a channel that's for them,
mhm.
that will actually kind of, I know on my men's channel we can be rough. It's kind of unfiltered. And so, but that's the men's channel. I think they come to the women's channel because it is a little bit more filtered. It is so that they can actually talk without being attacked. They can be challenged. I allow men to challenge them, but not attack them. So the women that are actually attracted to my message, how I talk, then yeah, they're more open and more honest, because I will challenge them. If they come in with some bullshit, guess what? I'm gonna call it out. In fact, we were just talking about that on my channel, because I put up a video about the imprint, about I think her name was Aisha Faines, and she was had been uh, dating the same type of guy for like, in her 20s, from like from the time she was a freshman to the time she like turned 30, and she just realized that after her alpha male got married, she had been dating the same kind of guy, and I had a lot of pushback about that, because women don't like me to talk about the imprint,
Mm.
which is nothing but the animus. The animus that Jung talked about is basically the imprint, but we just expand it a little bit further. But there is some kind of pushback. We kind of go at it sometimes. The thing is, uh, once um, once they get used to me challenging them, and once they get used to opening up to the truth and admitting it, then they kind of come around. In fact, I have a lot of the women on my channel actually go back to their mothers and their sisters and other folks with the information, and they get pushed back too. But the thing is, they want to know, they want to learn, they want to get out of the condition that they're in. But it just like anybody else, it takes getting used to. I'm not easy to take. I can
Mm.
admit that I'm not an easy person to take, because I'm a Gnostic, and I tell the truth unfiltered. I don't really sugarcoat it. I'm sure you're the same way.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much, pretty much.
I don't
I,
really
wa-
sugarcoat it.
I watch a lot of your stuff, so
Yeah, I don't sugarcoat very much. In fact, Kristen Carrison said you'd be a lot more effective if you sugarcoated it. I said I can't sugarcoat it. I can't sugarcoat the truth.
And that's just her wanting somebody to pat her on her fucking head and give her a cookie. You
Yeah,
know what? I
yeah.
can't stand it. Like, she gets on my freaking nerve. Like, it kills me whenever one of them tries to tell you something.
Hmm.
You don't have enough sense to know that they're trying to manipulate you. I don't think her, along with a lot of other of the female content creators, I don't think they realize that black men who come on YouTube and talk about these topics and actually gain some notoriety,
Hmm.
like, we're above the fray. We're not in that group of, oh, I'm gonna just, piss on his forehead and tell him it's raining.
Hmm.
Like, come on, like, seriously, like, well, I think you should sugarcoat. Like, come on, man. Ain't nobody.
In fact, I'll tell you guys a quick story. MGTOW Universe,
Mm.
he actually got a $500 donation, okay, to actually do a song. And the lady actually said, I would have given it to B.G.S. Itmore because I like what he talks about, but I don't like how he says it. But she gave him $500
Mm.
just to let me know that she didn't like how I say things.
Mm. Mm.
So
So
I've heard that a lot.
I get it's your delivery. They're like, oh, your delivery is all wrong. You know, I get that a lot, because I get that to the people that I talk to, because I have a lot of women in my circle. You know, I have a wife. You know, I have sisters and daughters and sister-in-laws, and they're always like, "Oh, it's your ex, it's your delivery." You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
ex's wife can't stand me.
Well, you know,
she can't stand anyone.
you know,
Hates
sometimes
all of
sometimes you
us.
can say things to where people can understand, but sometimes people have to feel you.
Yeah.
And sometimes my rants, they feel me. They might not like it, but they feel what I'm saying. And they have to come away with what I like that I like what you said, just not the way you said it. But I said, what you wouldn't have felt me if I hadn't said it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the language is strong.
Exactly.
When
I
women want to
agree.
feel, when they want you to feel them, they don't hold back. But I can't do it.
Nah, I've never seen a black woman on this planet hold back. That's why whenever they say, "Well, if you said it better," like you have lost your mind, because you ain't gonna say it better. You gonna say, "Man,
Well,
let me
do
be in the wrong."
And sometimes when
well
I do that,
is that what it is in black society though? Is black society, and inside of black society, we've been indoctrinated to believe that, you know, are naturally supposed to placate to women, you know,
yeah,
no matter what we're saying,
yeah.
even if we're saying something harsh, are we supposed to just placate to women right off the back? Is that the default setting?
Black men have no rights that women are bound to respect.
But you know what? Also, here's something else that I noticed, and this is not me trying to give a pass to black folks,
Mm-hmm.
but we've dealt with so much dysfunction
Mm-hmm.
and so much, I guess, oppression and in so many unfair instances that we desperately seek out feel good sources.
Oh yeah.
You know, we desperately want to feel good every time we're basically Halle Berry on Monsters Ball.
Oh
Want
yeah. I just
somebody
want
to
to
make
feel
you
good. I
feel
just want to
good.
feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Wow.
And just like in Monsters Ball, it makes absolutely no sense. You know, because once she gets to that point and the dude is and Billy Bob Thornton is getting ready to mount and she's like, "Can you make me feel good?" It's like, how did we get here? I don't understand. Like, it's like, where did this come from?
It's always been that way. I mean, black men are the default scapegoat in America.
Mm.
They're the default scapegoat. A black woman will always any person will always be believed that the black man is the criminal, is the bad guy. Default doesn't matter.
Last chosen, first blamed. We've been joined by my New York City correspondent, teacher Tanisha. What's up, Teach?
Peace and blessings, everyone. How you doing?
All right.
On the panel, we have the master teacher, also joined by my boy, Brother Valdez. I think y'all know each other, right? Good man, right?
I'm not sure. Have I been
I've
on?
I've heard her, but I've never had made her acquaintance.
This is the person that's responsible for all those lovely feminine vocals that y'all hear on my stuff. This is where
Oh,
they come from.
cool.
I think I've heard her go in on a few people. Okay, she doesn't play, so
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, she come at T.P.O.T. I mean, when we come back as a team. Trust that. Um, you got any questions for the
Definitely.
master teacher? Teach.
Um, well, unfortunately, I know I missed all the good stuff, right? Or probably a majority of it. I'm just here listening. I know you both well from the time I came in. I'm not exactly for sure what the topic was, but you and the brother was speaking about, or the brothers, pardon, are supposed to be able, or black men are supposed to be allowed to react to certain guessing when interacting with women, and we're having a disagreement and you're not allowed to show as much as women because it's looked at probably as something negative. And I think um the brother was saying that people don't expect him to emotion when he's speaking, and they kind of come after him because of it. And he's like, why is it looked at that black women can express themselves on a certain level with a certain emotion behind it, and black men
Hmm.
can't, or it's not acceptable? Is that correct? I think I
I think it's
maybe
no.
got
Well, I think I
kind
know
of
what it
close to
is
what
the
you guys were
language. The
talking
language
about.
that you use. It's
I
not
pray so.
necessarily the emotion, but the language.
There.
Can you hear me?
Teach, are we losing you? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. I think it's the language.
I don't know. The volume was going. I can hear you now. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
You all able to
I can hear
hear
you, Teach.
me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah. I think your Wi-Fi is a little
Hello?
slow. Yeah. I think our Wi-Fi is a little slow.
Okay, I hear you guys too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh,
I think you need more bars. You on the phone?
Teach.
I think.
okay.
Well, you on the phone? Because I think she needs more bars. Wi-Fi is a little slow.
I need more
Yes.
bars.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear us, Teach? Can you hear us?
Yeah,
I. You might have to call back
I need
in,
more.
Teach.
I can hear you guys. It might be that my battery is low too, but I do have it charging.
Okay. Well, I'm about to because I'm about to switch topics here because I got to get a lot of this stuff in because I don't know how much longer I'm gonna have the master teacher, so I gotta ask him all the stuff I want to ask him. Um, on the black church, master
Hmm.
teacher, what do you think that does the black church help black people?
Not like it used to because it's gone corporate. They're more about making money than saving souls and helping the community. When it does what it's supposed to do, any church uh, will help if it does what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't do what
Hello?
it's supposed to do anymore. Can you hear us?
So, I think she dropped off.
No,
Oh, she's
she's
off.
there. She's there. She just said hello. But what I'm saying is, I think all churches have gone corporate, and they don't serve as an instrument anymore. They've become institutionalized. So they live for themselves and not to help the community or the people of their that they serve. They don't serve you anymore. They serve themselves.
Mm.
When they used to serve us,
So
they help lead civil rights, help teach your children, help keep your families together, all that stuff. But they don't serve that function anymore.
So, do you believe they should be doing more? If the churches were more involved with what's going on in Black society, would it help?
Oh yeah, yeah, because they're the biggest influence in Black society, especially when it comes to the women.
Hmm.
Because one thing you notice right off the bat, if you look at all the places where people are getting killed by the dozens, one thing you notice there is that there's a church on every corner.
Yeah.
Right.
All these churches, okay, with all these churches in these places,
Mm-hmm.
with all these holy people there,
Mm-hmm.
that it wouldn't be the way that it is. You would assume that it wouldn't be on the killings and the shootings and the robberies and
Mm-hmm.
everything else. These holy folks within that community,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because they're extracting from the community and not adding to the community. So they're just like it's just like the Arabs or the Chinese or the Koreans with the beauty shops or the Vietnamese with the nail shops. They're extracting out of the community, not putting anything back. If you have a building, if you got a building and you got people, you have a school or a Saturday school or a learning center. You have all this stuff that you actually do with a building and people, not organizing people to actually do anything because you're extracting wealth from them. You're fleecing the sheep and not saving the sheep.
Wow. So as long as, well, what if the amount of black churches that are in Black society what if there wasn't as many? Help
That would
anybody's economic status?
it would help. It would help. You know, I don't have any problem with how much money a church makes. Is what you do with the money. It would help because you would get a bigger block of people and could organize them better. And that's what the church should be doing. If nothing else, it should be organizing them better. Um, teaching them to actually have gardens and grow food, teaching them how to cook, teaching them how to stay healthy, teaching children how to read. If you know, it doesn't cost very much to teach a child how to read. Hell, a freaking what is it? A freaking Wi-Fi is like what, $80, and a tablet is like maybe $25-$30 a piece. How many kids? You know, if you take like $1,000, how many kids could you actually teach to read, or teach on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Friday or whatever, where you actually had to open up your church and actually come in and have adults actually teach kids? And that makes them better, help them with their homework. You can do a lot of things if you organize the people. The church doesn't organize people anymore because they want you rolling on Sunday, deposit your money and roll out on Sunday evening, and don't come back to the next week and not worry about you because they're not organizing you. They're not making your community better. I think that that's the role that the church should have, because they're the most powerful organization in a community, bar none.
Do you believe that religion is a detriment to black society? Is it a detriment?
Not if it's used. Any instrument that is not used properly is a detriment. If it's used properly, it's a plus. Um, because our slave revolts were organized in the church. Civil rights was organized in the church. Marcus Garvey went to the church to organize and get people. That's a place where people are. Um, the organized religion and teaching people morals is a necessary part of being a human being. You don't see, you have to have some kind of religious practice all over the world. It's been that way going back all the way back to the pygmies, you know, 250,000 years ago. It's part of being a human being. So you can't eliminate it. The thing is, you have to organize it and actually have this instrument do its job. When it doesn't do its job, it can lead people astray. People are going to believe in something. We had to organize that and organize these people so that they have proper behavior, proper attitudes, and help the community grow, educate them properly. Before, years ago, 500 years ago, the only way you could be educated is through the church. Church actually educated you. You know, they give you the morals, they give you the education, they taught you to read and write, all that stuff. It's been kind of, a lot of that stuff has been gobbled up by the state. But the thing is, the church still has a role, especially in the black community. When the black church went down, so did the black community. Is what it is.
Mm.
It's a necessary part.
And we know that most of the black churches are filled with what? They're filled with black females more than anything else, predominantly, correct?
Yeah, because they don't speak to the black males. I think black males should actually go out and form their own church, so that organize it to where they believe it. I think there's one thing I like about the Hebrew Israelites is that it is male centered, if nothing else. Sometimes it might be a little misguided here or there, but the thing is, it's male centered, just like the Nation of Islam was male centered first. You know, it had a message that men could get behind, whereas the Christian church, as it is now, is not a message that men can get behind anymore. So I think
Because
men,
even it's taken a feminine slant, right? Somewhat.
well, who's paying them? Okay, who's paying them?
Who's paying them?
Who's paying them?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Is a pastor that has a Cadillac in a house going to go against his female parishioners? Tell them what they need to hear?
Wow. Well, I'm going to ask you a few, miscellaneous questions, if you don't mind, Master Teacher.
This is your time, man. Go ahead.
Who's your favorite YouTubers, man? Who do you like on YouTube?
I always watch Angry Man. I watch Ron Wills, Favorite and my favorite YouTuber. I got so many. I watch Obsidian. I watch my black YouTubers first, and uh, I'm leaving out a whole bunch of people. Um, but my but I also watch Richard Wolf. I watch a Kaiser Report. I watch Russia RT because that gives me that anti-American slant that I need to keep balanced. So, but as far as YouTubers personally, I have like a lot of people. I don't think there's one favorite. Um,
mm,
like I said, in the Black Manosphere, I try to keep up with O'Shea. I try to keep up with Angry Man. I try to keep with Rom, Obsidian, um, and basically all the group of people that are in my circle. And then if I venture out, it's like I said, Max Kaiser. It'd be Richard Wolf. It would be Russia Times. Those kind of people. But I'm kind of like all over the place. So
so do you ever look on YouTube and see people using your material?
I hear bits and pieces of it. I heard Angry Man uses some of it. Kevin Samuels, Obsidian. I hear a lot. I hear bits and pieces of it all. I used to hear that a lot of time on my MGTOW channel. That a lot of white MGTOWs would actually use my stuff and wouldn't give me credit for, but they'd be using it. But that is what it is. That's part of what I do. If you have a meme that people like, they're going to pick it up. They're going to carry it, and it actually influences everybody else. So I hear the influence of something that I've said kind of ripple out because you don't hear it anyplace else. So like I said, I know where they picked it up from. But the thing is, if you don't try to hold on to it, people will actually pick it up and carry it and actually carry your message for you. So I don't actually,
Mm.
you know,
So it does.
go
So
ahead.
it doesn't bother you if
No,
people
no,
like
no.
kind of your
Oh no.
talking point and.
No. Steal. I still tell them steal it because if that's how you change people's minds. The I've had the United States government steal something that I've said, so I'm used to it.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
calling Donald Trump a populist. Okay, they heard that from me and my group because nobody ever said it. We were the first people to actually say it, and then a month later, you hear everybody saying it because a viral meme has to be true. It has to be researched. So we actually do a viral meme. We actually research it, find out it's true, give references for it, and then people look at it and say, "Oh yeah, I didn't know that," and they pick it up and they run with it. But that's what you want. If you want
So
change, you actually want credit. You want change. You can't have both.
yeah, when you're doing your material,
Hmm.
and a lot of brothers, I mean, you're well respected on these YouTube streets. Everybody knows who you are. Everybody
Oh,
knows you're the
I'm honored.
master teacher. We all know who B.G.S is. When we hear that sound, and the new I meant to tell you this too. The new opening, man, I
Oh
like
yeah,
it. I
yeah,
like that new opening. I like it.
yeah.
Um,
It's more. It's really, really masculine. Yeah. I've been planning to do
yeah, I
that
like
for a
it. I
while.
like it a lot. Like, oh man, BGS got his new opening. I like it, man. I like it a lot. Um, but when you hear people using your stuff, though,
Hmm.
have you ever had anybody distort your message, the message that you know that you're putting out?
Hmm.
Anybody like distort your message?
Oh, well, yeah. I have had that rumor thing where you actually whisper a rumor to one person, they carry it, and by the time it gets back to you, it's different.
Totally different.
Hmm.
It's totally different. That's going to happen. But the thing, hopefully, if the thread of the message actually gets to people, that's what you want. So yeah, it will always be distorted, and they'll actually turn and use whatever tool you give them to their own understanding. So that's normal, but that's to be expected. So I don't get mad about that because hopefully people will actually research what the guy has said or that person has said and will lead them to the truth.
Well, I know I've learned so much from listening to your teachings, man. I've listened to your stuff and I've wrote it down. I've been writing stuff down tonight, and I plan on listening to continuing to listening to you.
Hmm.
Uh, discovered you earlier, master teacher. I wish I had,
Oh,
but I'm glad that I did.
how long have you been listening? I always wonder what brought you to my channel, and how long have you been listening? I'm always curious.
Well, I discovered you about 6 months ago.
Hmm.
Um, and actually, I discovered you through someone else. Someone else
Hmm.
told me about you,
Okay.
and they were like, "Oh, you need to, go listen to, B.G.S." And I was like, "Who the hell's B.G.S.? How you all,
Yeah,
who the
yeah, I
hell's
know.
that?"
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
yeah,
once
yeah.
I listened to one video, I was just stuck. I mean, once I heard one video, that was it. So I've been since. And what's interesting about you, Master Teacher, is that not only I'll say again, you have the patience of a python, but even when people challenge
Hmm.
you explain things to them with the facts. And like I said before, you will come back with an addendum. And
Hmm.
even then, you still have the patience. I mean, you don't come back harsh. You just come back, with the charts and the graphs and I mean, do it. I don't know how you put up with these guys because I've watched you kabong quite a few. You have a lot of heads. You have a lot of heads on your belt, Master Teacher. I've seen it. You have a lot of heads on your belt. And every time I see one, I'm like, oh boy, here goes another one.
What?
What
What?
makes you continue to do it?
Because a lot of people have patience had patience with my hard head ass. Okay, so I
Mm,
can't. And when you open up somebody's worldview, it takes time. You can't crack somebody's head open and actually pour in your worldview into their heads and expect them to change. It doesn't happen that way. You have to do it a little bit at a time. And our
mm.
people are hard headed. They really are. They're hard headed. It takes, and you have to drip a lot of water on their heads, even though they can see it's obvious, but they still won't accept it. So it takes time. You have to have patience.
So you never get frustrated? Do you ever get frustrated with these dudes?
Sometimes, if somebody's been with me a year and they still ask me the same question, I ask them, well, what else can I say to you that you can actually learn this lesson? Because you're asking me the same question a year later that you asked me a year before. So what part of it are you not accepting? That's when I get frustrated. If you're coming back to me a year later and you haven't learned anything, then I feel I failed. Where did I fail you? Because it's not on them. It's up to me to teach them. If I'm teaching them, it's up to me to find out, give them the message that they can accept. I have to teach to how they learn, not vice versa.
And I know that at some point, because this YouTube thing is, it's constantly growing,
Hmm.
and I'm sure more challenges to you are coming down the pipe.
Hmm.
Do you ever do you ever have anybody who you're like, you know what, I'm not even going to engage with you, brother? Do you have anybody that you do that to?
There's a few. If somebody's, I just did one with, I think I'm not going to mention his name, but I just did one on him. Um, if I'm, if you disagree with me, you disagree with me. I can accept that.
Mm.
If I've been on your channel and I've been gracious to you and you didn't say it to my face, but you come behind my back and you said that I've lied and it lied to you when you didn't do it to my face, then I have to cut you off because that's disrespectful. I cut people off for disrespect more than in just disagreement or being hard headed. Because there's some people that disagree
Mm.
with me, have done stuff, and they're still on my channel or they still comment. I haven't cut them off. But some certain people, if you're disrespectful, I can't tolerate that. I have to cut you off. So there's a few people that I have.
Wow.
In fact, I had some trolls that would try to dox me and all that kind of stuff because I wouldn't allow them to be on my platform.
Mm. Wow.
I always tell.
I really admire you, master teacher. I do. I just do. I mean, I don't even know how you put up with these people because, I mean, I've seen people come on your hangouts. Those and I don't know how you do those 8 hour hangouts either. Uh,
It's something that has grown. In fact, when I was in Ghana, in West Africa, like on a trip, like 3 week trip, it was back almost 10 years ago. And after dinner, it started where I would start talking with one person, and then two more people would come. And after a while, I'm surrounded like 10 or 12 people. We go on for like 5 or 6 hours. It's just something that kind of like grew up organically, and it's kind of repeated in the hangouts. In fact, I've had to kick people off. In fact, a lot of times, I think my first hangout I ever did, it actually went 14 hours because I just people
mm,
just would not leave the hangout. Stream cut off after 8 hours. We were still talking,
wow.
but it's just it is what it is. But that's just I don't know if it's just my personality or what. I don't get it. I was asked them, what is it about my hangouts that you guys like? They said, I guess the variety of topics. I suppose it's not with just one thing. They don't get bored. So that's where my women's hang out. They get downloaded. People say I work out to the gym in the gym with your hangouts and stuff like that. That's how I get through the week. And I'm honored that they do. I still don't understand it. So your guess is as good as mine.
Do you ever get I know sometimes I get a content creator block. Do you ever get that? Do you ever get YouTube block where you're like, what am I gonna talk about? Do you ever get like that?
Mm,
Probably not, huh?
No, because I'm always backlogged. in fact, in
Okay.
fact, I only get out maybe like less than 10% of stuff that just in my database. So I could actually literally do 10 hours of stuff every day if I really wanted to. I mean, just 10 hours of content if I really wanted to, and it would just because it's so varied. Economics, politics, uh, uh, what's going on in the world, world events, relationships, women, all that kind of stuff. It's all kind of like mixed in because they're all related. They're all related, and the thing is, sometimes I don't get enough time to actually go in depth on a subject because to go in depth, it takes about a few days to gather the material, kind of edit it down to a point where it's digestible and actually put it out. And sometimes I think I need to slow down a little bit so I can actually get a few videos out like that because it does take time. I
Is
want
there
to do. I would love to do more book studies like we used to do back in the
mm,
day, but that's a little slower and that takes more time.
is there anybody on this spectrum that you just won't deal with? Are there people on this spectrum that you don't like, their material? Do you just not like their material?
Talking about in Black YouTube or just YouTube
Yes.
period?
They're
Uh,
black YouTube.
um, hmm, that I don't like. I mean, there's people that I don't get along with, because they're disrespectful. But as far as people that I don't like, I can't really say there's one person that I don't like as far as material. I understand where they're coming from. Um, I no, I can't really say. I think there's some women that I don't particularly care for. Um, I think Simone Five. I don't particularly care for her because she can be disrespectful and she doesn't bring anything. But other than that, not too many. Not too many. There's very few. Um, Even Tommy Sotomayor, who can be disrespectful, but the thing is, I realize he's an entertainer more than he's
Mm,
a pundit. He's because he'll change his mind. He'll say one thing, and then the next day he'll change his mind because he's looking for views. He's looking for to entertain. That's why how come people come to him. If I don't like what he says on a particular video, I just turn it off. But as far as me
yeah.
disliking him, I'm neutral about him. Um,
Wow.
I know a lot of people
So
hate him, but I'm not one of them.
yeah, yeah, he's the most hated man on the internet.
I heard about him a
He's the
long time
internet's
before I ever came
most
to YouTube.
hated.
Mm.
Do you believe that there are people, because there's a lot of us in black YouTube, or these black YouTube streets as I refer to them as,
Hmm.
and it's that a lot of us, a lot of our material is somewhat similar. Do you think
Hmm.
that a lot of us have a tendency to beat the same dead horse until it's ready for the glue factory?
Yes, I think sometimes we repeat the memes too much and we don't go in depth. So in other words, if you're going to repeat the same subject, at least go deeper. I think we talk
Mm,
about the problem, but a lot of times we don't go in depth. So when I do it, I try to explore the root of the problem, and and actually go deeper into why the problem exists. I think a lot of YouTubers don't do that. Sometimes they get lazy, or sometimes they get comfortable in their message, and they don't do quite enough research. In other words, they don't dig in and actually go deeper into the problem. Well, I'm not falling for that because our people are hard headed. Sometimes they need to hear it repeated. Tommy Sotomayor, would like him or not, a lot of women had to pay attention to what they were doing because he's saying it on a daily basis. They don't want to be like the chicks he talks about, so they have to clean up their act. In fact, I
mm,
think a lot of his audience, like 40% of his audience, is black women, which
yep.
is which kind of shocked me. He can't be that bad if 40% of the women, people that he talks about, following.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't watch a lot of his stuff. I mean, I watch some of it. I don't watch a lot of it.
Hmm.
I'm not subscribed to any of his channels. And,
Mm-mm.
of course, I agree with a lot of the stuff he says, and I also disagree with a lot of the stuff he says.
Yeah.
Um, but that's what a lot of YouTubers. Me and I really started listening to on YouTube was Valdez. I mean, me and Valdez, we go back a ways.
Okay.
Me and the Angry Man, we go back quite a ways. And a lot of the people that I did find, I found by listening to his stuff, and he knew
Hmm.
them and he listens to them. And, that's how I kind of circumnavigated my way through YouTube, because I've only been on YouTube like, maybe a little over 2 years, I believe.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
that, a lot of us, I mean, we have similar messages, but I think
Hmm.
what sets a lot of us apart is that we have, different styles.
Yes.
Um, try to be different. I find myself falling into that crevice of similarity with other people sometime, and I
Hmm.
just kind of stop making stuff. I just kind of fall back and look at what everyone else is doing,
Hmm.
and then I just make sure I do something different.
You always got to follow what interests you. If it interests you, because a lot of people
Yes.
think that because it interests me, nobody else is interested. But put it up anyway and see where
Mm,
it goes.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I
That's
always
what I
say.
try to do.
Hmm.
That's what I try to do. I try to put stuff up that I like. A lot of
Yeah,
the stuff I put up for me. I
yeah.
don't really, people enjoy it, they enjoy it, but I usually put it up for me. I stop putting stuff up for other people. I put it
Mm. Okay,
because I'm not
okay.
an
You froze
entertainer.
for a
I don't
second.
I don't I don't consider myself an entertainer. I don't really like to entertain people, and that's what drawed me to you, because I listen to your stuff, and it's
Mm.
not entertaining.
No, it's not.
It's enlightening. It's education. It's not entertainment. It's not.
Yes, I try to open up people's worldview and try to expand that why things work on in this society that that it does, and I try to introduce them to other sources that they never heard of before, because that's what helped me. I got introduced into a wider worldview, and it kind of helped me understand not only the world but my own people. So I try to do that on my channel. Try to open everything up. So in other words, a lot of stuff that you will never hear, probably never hear in public, comes on my channel. A lot of stuff that
Agree.
gets kind of hidden, in a book or a journal or a blog, that most people don't even know about, especially black people. I try to put it in. But most people didn't know who Richard Wolff was until I actually introduced it on my channel.
Mm. Well, I wanna thank you, Master Teacher, for coming through. I appreciate it, man. You have no idea. I know I bombarded you with a lot of questions, but these are questions
Uh,
that I've always wanted to ask you.
well, well, I get that, for 8 hours, I get the same thing. Recently, a lot of my old subs say, it's not like it used to be where they could actually ask me questions for 8 hours because I have so many people on with
Yeah,
so many different opinions. So, so a
yeah.
lot of stuff.
Because
Yeah,
usually when we cross paths,
yeah.
there's usually a lot of other people there. So I can't sit there for 2 hours and just ask you question after question after question. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on, Master Teacher,
Oh, anytime,
and
anytime,
thank you very very much for stopping
anytime.
through.
Oh, you were kind, and it wasn't that many. I thought there would be more, but it wasn't that many.
Yeah, I had a few that I wanted to ask you that I've always wanted to ask you, but
Uh-huh.
there's never. So I figured I'd kind of pick your brain a little bit tonight, because I had you all to myself.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because a lot of times I get asked questions like, about world politics and China and what's going to happen when China takes over, and what's going to happen in the future and stuff like that. And
yeah.
but yeah, no, you were pretty mild.
Yeah, I tried to
You were
I
pretty
tried
mild.
to ask you things that you haven't been asked before.
Oh, okay.
Because I watch a lot of your stuff. I know you get questions about China and world
Hmm.
views and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I kind of know your position on those things because
Hmm.
I've watched you so much. So I've
Hmm.
tried to, I try to ask you some things that I, wasn't too clear about on your positions, and like I said, I appreciate you coming on, Master Teacher. It's always an honor to be in your presence, sir. And every time I listen to your stuff, I'll tell you, I've told you this before. Every time I listen to your stuff, when
Hmm.
I'm done, I feel smarter. And I thank you for
Well, I'm glad, man. I'm glad I could actually do you justice. Teacher always wants to hear that I'm actually teaching changing somebody's worldview. That's what I want to do.
yeah, man. And like I said, it's an honor, Master Teacher. And I thank you very much, man, for coming to T.P.O.T. Everybody, you listening to the Prophet of Thought series right here on the T.P.O.T. YouTube page. And you have just spent 2 hours with the Master Teacher. I hope y'all was doing what I was doing, writing some of this stuff down. Okay. I hope
Yeah.
y'all learned something tonight. I hope you learned something. Because if you didn't learn anything, you probably weren't paying attention.
And they
So,
should write it down because they're going to ask it again.
yes,
That's what usually happens. They ask it
exactly,
again. Yeah.
exactly. So I hope y'all was writing it down. If not, you might want to rewind this tape, rewind this video, when YouTube decides to put it up, or go back and listen to some of these points because,
Yeah.
the Master Teacher once again teaches us another
Yeah. Well,
lesson, and we are thankful for that.
anytime, man. Anytime for you, X. Just let me know.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, man. Oh, yeah. And I'll be listening. I will.
Okay.
I come up with some more stuff. I'll hit you up. All right.
Okay. Okay.
All
Anytime.
right. Thank
Anytime I can help, man. Just let me know.
thank you, Master Teacher. I appreciate it. Well, we just got done speaking with the Master Teacher. Like I said, I hope y'all learned something, brothers and sisters. And yeah, the likes are matching the views. That's always good. Um, I think Teach just disappeared. Like,
I think she was having issues with her
what the
phone.
heck? And I know because Valdez, he texted me. He said he had to go. He just didn't want to interrupt you talking.
Hmm.
So he had to go, but he didn't want to interrupt
Yeah,
the
he's
Master
blowing
Teacher
up. I'm
speaking.
glad. I'm glad he's blowing
Yeah,
up.
yes, he is. I mean,
Putting in a
his
lot of
channel
work.
has grown. His channel has really grown. His graphics are unbelievable. Um, yeah, I watched his growth. He's doing really really good. I remember when he just used to be in his car a long time ago, and he
Hmm.
had like grainy videos and stuff like that. I mean, he's really expanded his thing, man, and I'm proud of him. Because like I
I am
said,
too.
me and him, we go way back, man. Me and Valdez, we go back a ways. So I'm very proud of the brother. I am very proud of him. Very proud of him. He knows that. Excuse me. Him and I, we talk behind the scenes as well. He calls me, I call him.
Mm.
Because believe it, I'm surprised we haven't gotten together yet because we're both in North Carolina. So I guess that's going to be the next thing to happen. So
Yeah, you guys are so close.
I think he's close to like Raleigh, and I'm in Charlotte. So he's only a couple hours up the road from where I am. So
How,
we're gonna get together at some point.
how was North Carolina, man? Because about 10 years ago, man, the brothers were ready to bear arms, man, in North Carolina, because I think things had gotten bad to the point where they were actually ready to go after the crackers, man. It's like I was trying to tell them, like, kind of chill out, man, and let things play out. But there was things going
Where
on.
I am,
Hmm.
I mean, I came down here from New York. Um, where I am is decent. I mean, because I live in Charlotte. I used to live in Northeast Charlotte.
Uh,
Was okay, but it was getting crazy. There's some parts of Charlotte that you wouldn't want to be caught dead in.
hmm.
But where I'm at, and I've moved from there. I live in like South Charlotte now. I live in a hamlet called Provincetown, and where I'm
Uh,
at now is pretty segregated, but it's mostly white. I mean, I think it's about 50%, 60% white, about 20% Asian,
mm,
20% black, and the rest are Hispanic. So it's not as many black people as say Northeast Charlotte, where Northeast Charlotte was about 70% black. So that's different.
uh,
Um, but where I am now is fine. I mean, I started my business down here because I own a power mechanic shop.
okay.
And I mean, my business is doing good. I mean, the first 2 years were kind of rough, but year number three, I'm actually in the black for a damn change. Which is nice, keeps my woman happy because I was in the red for about a year and a half.
Oh yeah.
So I'm finally in the black. So, but far as North Carolina itself, it's that bad. Where I am, it was a little rough. The beginning of the year and the end of last year because of the police shootings. You
Yeah.
had a
Oh
few
yeah.
police shootings down here, so that kind of, whenever a black person gets shot by the police, that's going to cause tension,
Yeah.
in the town or the city. But since then, it hasn't been that bad. I mean, the people, they leave a little bit to be desired, but the living is cheap. Um, if you're a blue collar guy like myself, you can make a living here. I mean,
Okay.
there's always there's especially construction. I mean, you can't drive 3 miles without seeing a building being built, a bridge, road, skyscraper, shopping plazas. I mean, you name it, apartment complexes. So if you're a blue collar guy, you do plumbing, electrical, construction, cement, landscaping. I mean, you can really make your way down here because it's a blue collar place. It's a very
Okay.
blue collar place. So if you're a blue collar guy, you can make a decent living. The caveat to that though is that a lot of the people who have the blue collar positions are Hispanic. Okay,
Oh yeah.
they're gobbling them up. They're the roofers, they're the plumbers, they're the electricians, they're the landscapers, they're the highway guys, they're on the construction sites. So I mean, other than that though, there's plenty of work down here. I mean, there's plenty of that. It's you'd be hard pressed down here. That's why it shocks me when I see people down here who don't have jobs, because if you're a blue collar guy, I mean, you have to be not looking, literally not looking for work to not have any.
Hmm.
Plus, what I do, I work on power equipment. I work on generators. I work on skid steers. I work on commercial lawn equipment and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So all these guys come to me, the landscapers, the contractors, the electricians, the plumbers, they bring their equipment to me to be
Hmm.
service worked on, repaired. So, that's how I know, the blue collar field is good because all these guys, they keep me in business.
Okay.
Okay. When they work good, I'm working good, so they keep me in business because of what they do. I work on all their equipment, their jackhammers, gas powered jackhammers and chainsaws and, generators. I do outboard motors as well.
Oh,
So,
cool. Yeah.
motorcycles. So, they keep me in business, and business has been good. So I'm assuming business has been good for them too. So,
Yeah, this it's a build out.
yeah.
Yeah, because they're actually changing they're actually changing a lot of the way the cities are actually made because of the automation and also the automated vehicles. If you notice, they're actually making the
Mm,
streets smaller. If you notice that, because in California,
yeah.
they're actually taking out lanes and making the lanes smaller, getting ready for the automated vehicles. There's going to be less cars on the road in about, I say, next 10 years because the automated.
Yeah, you're seeing something similar like that here.
Hmm.
Um I'm somewhat concerned because I'm an equipment man. I've
Hmm.
been working on things for 25 years. I've worked with my hands for 25 years.
Hmm.
And you know, I I've seen automated lawnmowers. I've seen automated drills and whatnot.
Hmm.
And it does concern me. I mean, right now, not that much because I still have a decent flow of business,
Hmm.
but I mean, it does concern me, whether or not I'm still going to be in business in the next 5, 10 years. I mean, so far so good, but I know with automation and robots and electronics, a lot of the stuff that I work on, that equipment,
Hmm.
men aren't going to be operating it. It's going to be programmed to do it. So, that's a whole different technology,
Yeah, but
so
what did he say? He said they said what 8 to 10 years for the actually change the infrastructure. So you got at least a good 10 years. So
yeah, I certainly
as
hope
far as
so.
yeah, whereas people that aren't in the trades, um, their jobs are going to get taken first, especially people in the white collar positions, because AI is going to gobble up a whole lot of those jobs, a whole lot of those jobs. A lot of people think white collar is
Yeah.
safe. A whole lot of those jobs are going to get gobbled up. They're going to get compressed of people that do medical billing, banking, lawyers, or what is it, paralegals, those kind of people. A lot of those jobs are going to get gobbled up in the next 5 years. A lot of those jobs are going to get compressed. But it is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, because I mean, times are changing. That's
Mm,
why I'm somewhat concerned. With what I do because the reason why I can stay in business is because people operate the machine. The
mhm,
machinery that I work on and
mhm,
rebuild and service. People operate it. So what happens to a brother like me? When those things aren't operated by men anymore, they're operated by a computer program, or I mean, what
mhm.
happens to a brother like me unless I can, absorb that technology? And I don't necessarily know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to go back to school. I'm in my 40s, so
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go back to school for another trade unless absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I would say 10 years. Yeah, yeah, you should start preparing. Because
Mm,
yeah, you're gonna have to keep up with the uh, keep up with the times. It is what it is. I think the processes are gonna change, so they're gonna need less people. It's not gonna go away, but they're gonna need less people. But the trades, as far as plumbing, uh, a plumber's a plumber. You can't, a machine can't do that for the most part. You change the
mm.
process a little bit, but a plumber's a plumber. Electrician, pretty much the same thing. In fact, more electricians, because if you go solar, you're gonna have to change the grid to something else. So I say you got a good 10 years, 10 to 15 years before you're actually out of work. Because people
Mm,
that do that kind of infrastructure is still going to be needed. But like I said, the people that aren't
mm.
in that infrastructure jobs like that, they're the ones that are going to get hit first. Like people that actually work in retail, white collar jobs, that kind of stuff, factory jobs. They're the people that are actually going to get hit first.
So what do you think happens to all those people, BGS? What
Uh,
happens to all those people that lose their jobs? I mean, what do they do? Because they're
uni-
not all going to go back to
uni-
school.
universal. There won't be any jobs to go back to school for. Um, Universal basic income. You got 100 million people out of work already that won't be able to find
Mm,
jobs as we speak. So when you get to the tipping point where you get over half, then they're going to have a problem. That's where the universal basic income is actually going to come in, because the automation is not going to stop. And every time they bring in a robot, they lay off 3 to 5 people. So, and the AI is coming in, is going to hit doctors and nurses and hospitals and all that kind of stuff. So, um, you can see a contraction. How fast it's going to happen depends on your sector. But they're already talking about changing medical already as we speak, changing what doctors do, um, changing, putting doctors online to actually cut down on hospital visits, that kind of stuff. So the infrastructure is actually going to collapse into something else. So, but in the meantime, you know, people still have to do blue collar trades, plumbers, electricians, changing the way the streets are, fixing the streets, fixing bridges that haven't been fixed. If they're going to high speed rail, that has to be it has to be a corridor for that. But as far as digging subways and tunnels, they got machines to do that already. So instead of taking 10 years to make a subway, to build a subway, it take about a year and a half. So with the new digging machines that they have, I don't know if you ever seen them.
I've seen one.
Yeah,
I've
where the
seen one.
Chinese digging machine that actually goes like what is it? I think they go like maybe a mile a day, a mile a day or a mile a week, something like that. Where they actually come in and they actually the boring machine actually comes in and actually carves out the whole tunnel.
It's crazy.
Yep.
If any of you want to join into this chat here, because the master teacher is still here. Maybe y'all
Oh
didn't
yeah, I'm still
notice.
here. I'm still here.
Yeah, he's still here, y'all.
I don't know
So what
how
I'm
long
going
do
to
you how long do you run um your hangout for your show
it
for?
all depends. It all depends on what my guest is like. You know, it all depends on
We can
what
go
kind of
another
guest
hour.
I have.
Yeah, we can go another hour.
So I'm going to put what y'all can see right there. If you want to get on and you want to ask the master teacher some questions, or you want to ask me some questions, I guess I'll answer some too. Um, they're staring and listening to us. You know, if you got something you want to ask the master teacher, you want to ask me something, you want to talk about something. Most of you guys I see in here, I know who you are. Y'all know how I run my hangout. So, you know, y'all are welcome to jump in and ask a few questions, say something, you know, talk about something, maybe bring something to my attention that I don't know about. That's always welcome as well. So I will go ahead and post it in the chat again, just in case y'all want to jump on and talk about something. Yeah, now that I see, because like I said, where I'm at now, there's a lot of construction. Construction is big here. I mean, it's big. Like I
Yeah.
said, you can't drive 2 miles without seeing something being built, a house, a road, or something. So there's a lot of construction going on. But what I've always wondered watching these guys, and I talk to them because they come to my shop, you know, with their generators and whatnot, you know, to be serviced. And I say, what happens to you guys built once that shopping center's built? I mean, what happens to you guys? And believe it or not, a lot of the guys that come to see me, they're journeymen. They're going to leave.
Yeah, go someplace else.
Yeah, once that job is over, they're out of here.
Yeah.
They're going to the next job in South Carolina or Florida or, you know, Georgia or something. So they're not even residents. They're like resident workers, but they're not. That was strange to me too. That most of the people that come to me, they don't even live here.
Yeah.
They live somewhere else. They just work here.
They go where the work is, because it's the that's where the build out is. Got to go where the next job is. And sometimes it's a year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes it's 5. Just depends. Like oil workers used to be, where the oil is. But got to go wherever they're spending the money. Got to go where they're spending the money.
Yeah, well, as long as they keep coming to my shop, I'm happy. They don't got. They don't have to. You don't have to live here if you don't want to. Just continue to come.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
continue to come to my shop.
you might have to be a gypsy and follow them.
Uh, believe it or let me tell you something, master teacher. You know how many times I've sat back and thought about that?
Hmm.
You know, I mean, the house that I live in now, I just got this house.
Hmm.
We've only been here about a year, and I don't know if I'm going to stay. We're leasing it with the option right now.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure. I think I'm going to decide within the next year. It all depends on how my shop goes. If my shop goes good, I'm going to stay. If not, I may have to follow the construction guys. I don't know. I may be in tow. So I want to see
But,
how it goes the next year or so.
but I think North Carolina is a banking center, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, because Charlotte, there's Citibank headquarters, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I mean, all the major banks are like right downtown, and I mean, they have enormous skyscraper type buildings. It's like
Hmm.
the headquarters of these places. Yes, it is a
So yeah,
banking
so
city.
you might have a little bit more time on your build out. So yeah, I
Yeah,
say you got about good 10, maybe 15 years. Um, Probably another 10 years where you're at because there's probably just starting to build out in Charlotte and in places around Charlotte. So probably have a good 10 years.
yeah, it's
Before,
growing.
hmm
It's growing. It's definitely growing. Cat's 938. I see you. What's up?
Hello, Brother X. Hello, BGS.
Hey,
What's
Cass,
going
what's
on?
going on?
Um, Nothing much. I just came on to ask, I guess, BGS some questions.
Go ahead. You know how it is, baby. Go ahead and shoot.
Okay. So I saw your video on the imprint and
Hmm.
the lady who was telling her story about chasing like the masters of the universe and stuff.
Hmm. Uh-huh.
And I saw in the comment section, I don't think it was very well received. Like, I don't think a lot of people understood what you were trying to say with that video.
Women, well, a lot of the women are very, they don't like to admit that they have an alpha, you know, just like, men will admit there's always that one woman that has their heart. They can never get rid of her. But women don't like to admit they have an alpha. There's one guy that can always come back into their life. They don't like to admit that. And a lot of women, in fact, the last hangout, I think it's two hangouts ago on a women's channel, I actually brought that up. Actually dragged that out of Gigi and Janelle. They finally admitted it. But there's always one guy that fits their imprint, and you can either say yes or no to it. And if you say yes to it, that man will always be your alpha. And a lot of women don't want to admit that. In fact, that's how come I put that one up for the men's channel to actually um, basically keep driving home that the imprint or the animal or the animus is actually real. And actually, they have a woman actually telling you that on her channel. Actually saying so. This is this one guy, and after this guy, every other guy was just like him. So a lot of women don't like to admit that.
hmm You said the guy who talks about that, his name is Young.
Oh, Jung, yeah, in fact, I'm supposed to be finishing that video for you guys today. As a matter of fact, I'll put it up probably tomorrow. About Jung, he talks about the animus, and the animus is nothing more than just the imprint, your image, your perfect image of a male um, that you project onto somebody else. So if that guy
Okay.
fits your imprint, you're actually projecting your animus or your male inside onto that man, so that man can carry it. And men do it for women all the time. Project onto somebody else. You got to cut off your
Okay.
stream. You got to mute your YouTube, Gigi.
I have a question for both of you.
What-
What are your favorite books?
My favorite books, fiction, nonfiction, what?
Oh, I guess we could start with fiction first.
My favorite book fiction would be my favorite fiction book of all time would be Dune, the Dune series, by Frank Herbert. Because Frank Herbert was a Mason, and he talked about not only empires and how they're formed, but also how religion plays a part, how politics plays a part, and um, how basically he was telling you how basically how Islam was actually formed because um, Muad'Dib, uh, when it went towards the desert people, actually formed the desert people, and they actually uh, ran out and actually took over the whole um, galaxy. And but he has a lot of religion and religion and technology and politics all mixed in together, and he did it masterfully. In fact, it's one of the they call it the probably one of the greatest science fiction series of all time. So that's probably one of my favorite books. I read it when I was I think I was 16, and it kind of captured me. In fact,
Mm,
Star Wars is modeled after it. Star Wars is modeled after Dune, and a couple others are modeled after Dune.
okay. And your brother X?
My favorite, well, I'm a James Patterson kind of guy. As far as fiction goes, I've read a lot of James Patterson. His favorite one, I believe, to me was the Big Bad Wolf. But I've read some of his other stuff too. I
Hmm.
uh, I've read that. What else? I read quite a few of his books. My nonfiction, I would have to say would be the biography of Malcolm X,
Oh yeah, yep,
all
Mm-hmm.
time.
hmm,
I'm
yep.
pretty basic guy, cats, pretty. So,
Yeah, I think every young man starts off with the biography of Malcolm X as far as
Yeah.
nonfiction.
yeah,
Yeah.
I read it. I read it back when I must have been 22 when I read it. Yeah, I read it when I was like 22, and I've read it about then. So, you know, I would definitely say that's my favorite nonfiction book, without a doubt.
Mm. Yep,
Mm.
yep, yep.
Without a
One.
BGS,
doubt.
can I say
Yes.
something before we go too far from the subject? So, um, I have something to admit. Thank you for about the imprint. I totally learned that from you. I didn't know this until you brought it up. So
Hmm.
thank you to you
Hmm.
uh, for, but also for me, I completely misunderstanding English.
Hmm.
Like the metaphor about a thug, I put my video down. I completely got it wrong. Um, so to me, a thug means that a man who has like a lot more stamina than a regular man, like day-to-day man. I didn't understand that a thug was somebody that was somebody that most women like him because he's a bad boy and he
Yeah,
yeah. So I
yeah.
finally got back to myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. So now I understand. So I wanted to make this clear because my image, I know I'm not very famous, but still, I mean, I know you and other people. Come on. That was
You're not American, so your idea of a thug would not probably match up
no.
with how we think about it. No, yeah.
So I wanted to put this out, and I appreciate you to listen to this because it was such a small, stupid detail, but I wanted to put it up there and feel better now.
I'm glad you feel better.
Yeah. But the imprint is true. The imprint, like I look inside me and I'm like, okay, what BGS was saying about the imprint? Let's see inside myself and see what is my imprint because I wanted to know because like for me, all my particularly to make a long story short, everything's been a tragedy in my relationship for sure.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I'm like, okay, what is wrong with me? Oh, my imprints. So maybe I should get in
Hmm.
touch with my imprints. I'm a happy woman and call it a day.
Yeah, most women don't like to talk about the imprint in public. If I get to know a woman and I ask her
Hmm.
about that guy and her eyes light up, okay, and she start telling me about him and stuff like that and glowing terms, the good and the bad, because she'll admit the good and the bad. But
Yes.
yeah, I've never failed to talk to a woman that that didn't have an imprint.
Well, we all actually do have an imprint. That's absolutely true.
Hmm.
I He didn't have a name in my mind, but it was something that I'm like, why? What is it? The imprint that I would like, and some woman has imprint very early, and then they ignore it and marry somebody completely different, and wonder why thing doesn't
They're
work
ne-
out.
they're never happy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
simple to understand. I'm so glad. I'm like, finally, you know, I'm, and I'm not about around my 40s. I'm like, finally understood what my imprint is.
Yeah, yeah. No, normally, well, they used to. I used to talk about it as far as women are concerned, because it's more costly to a woman than it is to a man. A man, yeah, you can lose some money, you might lose some time, but it's not as devastating to a man as it is to a woman. Because
Yes,
if she's got a if she's got a bad imprint and she falls for it and she falls into it, I do mean it can tear up a woman's life. I mean, shatter it,
yes.
and then she can never get out of it. Um, that's how come they talk about. That's how come they always talk about women having daddy issues,
Mm,
and what they mean is she doesn't have a good imprint. So it affects the kind of men the men, because women are emotional. It affects um, the men that women choose, because women choose men on emotion. They do. It's not logic for the most part.
completely, completely.
Hmm.
It's visual also.
It was, yeah. Well, actually, for a woman's imprint, it's three components. For a man, it's almost completely visual. Um,
Really?
in fact, yeah, Jung said that it's when a man sees that woman, looks into her eyes, and he knows that's
Hmm.
okay. That's who I want. And sometimes that he can be like 2,000 miles away. He can see an Instagram model, and all of a sudden he's giving her thousands of dollars a month just because she fits his imprint. He doesn't even have to have sex with her, talk to her, uh, meet her, touch her, anything like that. But he's captured by her because he's seen her, and that fits his imprint. So it's different for a man.
Yeah. So it is. Oh, I see. It's all visual. At certain point, though, for certain men, it goes on and on and on and on and on. Like
Mm.
somebody that I know very close to me is like that. Like my family, he goes on and on. Even how old he is, he continue going on and on. But certain men are going past this and actually wants to see maybe more other qualities in a woman than just the.
Oh, eventually,
I
if you
hope.
if you don't get that kind of love return, eventually your logic has to kick in,
Right.
and you make do, even though you still long for that woman, that dream girl, or you try. What men will try to do is find something as close to her as he can get. That's what they actually try to. I can't get to her. Beyonce might be my imprint, but I try to get somebody as close to her as I can. And in
Wow.
fact, I think Neo actually married a woman because she looked like Aaliyah. He
Wow.
said,
Hmm.
in fact, that's how come he married and had a kid by her. It cost him like $2 million for that imprint. But he said she looked like Aaliyah. That's how come he married her.
Unbelievable. And so
Yeah.
if you never the imprint of the men that you settle down for or submit to, and so he's always like, and he because I saw some, yeah, you're right. I saw some men with their wives were not their imprint. Even that's true. I felt that somewhere. I saw
Yeah.
this somewhere. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you can as a man grows older, he can because he has testosterone and because he got a logic, he can kind of override it, but it'll still be there. Uh,
Well, of course.
it'll still be there.
Horrible. I don't want to know.
What I'm saying is, the thing is, you have to know about it, so because you have to manage it. Because if you don't manage it properly, especially for a woman,
Oh,
she will, like I said, she will go from guy to guy to guy to guy. You'll be 35, 40 years old. Said, wait a minute, every guy that I dated and broke up with is just like this guy. In fact, I was just reading about this. I think it was this New York bag about this woman that says she hates men, and she keeps dating the same kind of guy over and over and over again. She doesn't realize she hasn't dug in and figured out where imprint actually comes from, which is a problem. Which I try to school my daughter on that when they're young. In fact, my that's the issue that I had with my ex, because she sent my youngest daughter to a school that she shouldn't have sent her to. So she got imprinted by a guy that I'm not too crazy about, but it is what it
that's,
is.
yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So you got to be careful. You got to really being careful with boys. It's not as bad, but it's saying with women, you really got to be careful with your imprint. Really got to be careful how girls imprint it, because girls just don't affect them; they affect their children too. If they do decide to have children by these guys, and that's how come you see a woman um, having 4 or 5 kids by 4 or 5 different guys, and you look at these guys. If you look at all of them, they're not different. They're all basically the same kind of guy, fit in the same category. In fact, if they all got together, they're all probably all like each other, because they're all basically the same image of the same kind of guy. So women have to really be, careful about their input.
yeah. It can go on and on with damages. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, yeah, down on damage. And basically, if what happens with, and I think I've shown this in with Iyanla and Van Zant's work, whereas
Mm.
if a woman has a certain kind of guy she likes, and it's a bad imprint, and she gets with that kind of guy, or a series of guys like that, and she has daughters, guess who's going to pick up that imprint?
The females.
The daughters will pick up the imprint and actually carry that forward
Wow.
into the next generation, until somebody actually figures out that it to stop it. So you can go 3, 4, 5 generations with women actually picking the same kind of dude.
Hmm.
If you don't, if one of those women somewhere in the line that doesn't decide that, you know what, I know I love this kind of guy, but it's bad for me, I'm going to do something else. So if you don't stop it, it'll keep projecting itself forward.
Well,
Are Let me ask you
Go
this,
ahead.
Master
Go,
Teacher.
go ahead.
Are guys the only thing that women imprint on? I mean, guys that they're going to be in a relationship with, do they also imprint on, like, say, preachers and pastors and, I don't know, YouTubers? I mean, are men the only thing that that imprint thing applies to?
Um,
Lifestyles?
well, that's more cultural training, but okay, the thing is, you would have to go into the animus and the anima, which is primal. In other words, you have like the Jung said, you have a small part of you. Every man has a small part of him that's female, and like Jung
Mhm.
said, it acts as a female, and vice versa for a woman. She has a small part of her that's undeveloped that acts as a male, and she depends on that part to act like a male. Well, what you don't do is what most people don't do is they don't develop that part of them inside their own body, inside their own head. They project it out so somebody else can actually act out the part of their masculine or their feminine self. So, in other words, if I have an image of a perfect woman inside my head, instead of developing that quality of that woman inside my head, my anima inside my head, I would say, okay, I want that quality to actually be expressed on the outside of me. So I'll pick a woman that looks or that closely matches that anima, and basically I will be attached to her, just like she was inside my head, and that can be a damage because she's not inside my head; she's a different person, and she has her own will and whatnot. And she can actually do a whole lot of damage to me. So I can see a guy that be simping for this one kind of one's kind of woman because she's carrying his anima, and vice versa for a man, for a woman, because for a woman, your male center is a control, is your control, your protector, your provider, your control. In other words, um, your male center is supposed to control your emotions, or control your emotions, your feelings, and all that kind of stuff, and supposed to provide you direction. So if your animus doesn't do it inside your head and you project it onto the wrong person or the wrong type of guy, you're gonna follow him no matter what. You're gonna have his babies. You're gonna live with him. You're gonna take care of him, whatever you need, because because part of you is inside is projected by him. So there'll be an attachment that you can't break, or it's very difficult to break.
Wow.
But
Hey,
but I'm
classic
supposed to work on
Ruby, I
that.
see you in here.
Yeah,
I
Yep.
that is the classic animus in anima. In fact, the second I put her up, not only on the men's channel first, but also the women's channel, because that is classic animus.
wow.
Okay, I have
Classic.
one quick
Go ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Anybody seen that episode of the Boondocks called the Killer Kung Fu Wolf Bitch?
I don't think
Where
so. Tell us about it.
where the granddad met a girl on online, and the whole time she has somebody talking in her ear, like in a Bluetooth. And
Okay.
like I think it's not really one of her friends. I think it's like her inner, I guess, monologue trying to
Mm-hmm.
tell her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, well, since nobody saw the episode, I guess I really can't ask the
No, wait, no.
question.
I didn't see the episode, but you can explain what what you're trying to get
Okay,
across to us.
so she's sitting up there trying to tell the girl what she should and should not do.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like the logical part of
Mm-hmm.
like the
Yeah.
control center
The
that you
control
were
center.
talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
But the problem is that her inner voice was very irrational too.
Mm. Oh, so in other words, though, okay, underdeveloped. Your inner voice is not listening to your animus. Your animus is your logic control. It's underdeveloped, so it's still a little boy. It's going to be irrational. It's not
Yeah,
developed. Yeah.
yeah. Because by the end of the episode, her little inner voice basically convinced her to blow herself up in her car.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
You know, oh, okay. Yeah, that's really negative.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. In fact, some people, you know, I heard one piece that I found that she's a psychiatrist, and she's a Jungian psychiatrist, and she's actually telling you about a group of men that she actually goes to for wisdom. So if she has an idea, she'll go to a group of older gentlemen that she thinks is wise in her head, and she'll run it by them. In other words, more like a chorus rather than one guy. Um, it really gets kind of deep. It's a little bit more complex. It's simpler with a man and an anima because a lot of the heavy lifting is done by the men or by the logical brain. But women, it's more complex because actually the as far as I say it's not servicing. How come? Yeah, servicing a woman is a little bit more difficult because it's helping her control her emotions, advising her, uh, protecting her. Logically protecting her, giving her a sense of self. There's a lot of things that actually go into um, her animus, and a lot of things that women actually look for men to do. That's like a man for a woman is much more complex than just a couple of things. An animal inside a man is much simpler.
Okay.
Ooh,
And
when
I
you
have
think
just one more question.
As many as you like, babe. And we're on his
Okay.
time, so
Pull the
it's up to
trigger.
X.
Pull
Yeah.
the trigger, cats. Pull the trigger.
All right. So the last hangout you had with the on your Idmore channel, I think it went into like the after hours part, but I was like telling y'all about how my grandma's church had a new pastor, pastor who's like
Mm-hmm.
26 years old, and his whole mission is like building families for Christ and trying to get more men to come to the church.
Mm-hmm.
And he had recently had Men's Day, and
Mm-hmm.
had the men's choir singing and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
he was able to get like I think almost 80 men on the stage to get on there and
Mm-hmm.
sing, and it was like the most men at the church like in the past couple of years. So
Mm-hmm.
um cerulean, I think he said that could have been very dangerous. So I want to get your opinion on uh
Dangerous as for
yeah,
getting 80 million. Well, why would it be dangerous? I don't understand why it
like
would be.
promoting like men at the church, because I remember him saying it, but I couldn't remember why. Um,
If the women don't have an adverse reaction to it, I think if you're gonna have a church, a healthy church, I think you should cater a little bit more to the men. Actually, find out what they need and actually bring them back in and promote health. That's what a church is supposed to do: promote healthy families. That's their
yeah,
mission. So I don't know why that would be bad. And
yeah.
actually putting men on stage together and actually promoting them, I don't know why that would be bad. I don't know, but I think it's a good thing. How did the women feel about it?
No, they were fine with it. I don't think they were. I mean, I think they received it well.
Okay, I'm sure they
I
want
just
more
have,
men in the church.
yeah. I'll just have to ask him the next time I see him.
Yeah,
Ask Cerulean.
I think there should be more men in the church. I think the church has become too feminized, and you can't have a healthy community or a healthy church without with the other half missing.
Yeah.
And if a Christian church doesn't actually provide and service or give black men what they need, it's going to die. That's the problem with the
Hmm.
Christian church. That's why it's dying because the men are leaving.
Yep. Yeah. That's all I had to ask.
Okay.
Well, I got a question for you ladies, being that we have a few ladies in here. Let me ask you ladies something. Now, you ladies you obviously listen to my stuff. You listen to the master teacher stuff, and I've seen you ladies on other brothers. Oh, so what what is your take on information that you hear, not just from me or from the master teacher, but from black men on YouTube in general? Obviously, you're not thin skinned, especially if you listen to my stuff. You can't be thin skinned. So if you listen to people like Brother Valdez and people of that nature, you're obviously not thin skinned. So what is your take on the information that you receive, the things that you watch? I mean, take on it. I want to know.
Um. Well, some of it I had known, and a lot of it I didn't realize was going on. Like I knew that there was a lot of single motherhood going on, but I figured a lot of women who did it, I thought the reason why they were getting pregnant on purpose was because they were looking for somebody to not leave them, which would be the kid. But it turns out that a lot of women are actually doing it to, um, I guess, get over on the system.
Hmm.
So that's one of the main things I learned from people like Brother Valdez and B.G.S. and more and stuff. But they opened my eyes to that a lot.
So did you find that to be true once you learned it when you went
Um,
back out into the real world? Did you find out to be true? That to be true?
yeah, like yeah, basically, because I know a lot of women who try to like every chance they get, they'll try to run up in some guy's pockets, basically. They'll use their kids to do it, whether it be the father of the kids or stepfather or just some random guy they hooked up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other day, I actually heard a woman say, because the guy she took home from the club ate a bowl of cereal that he had to pay her because that's taking money out of her kid's mouth. But I was like, but you invited him over. You didn't have to give him cereal and all that. You could have just told him to leave. And like the amount of money she was asking for, I mean, a bowl of cereal for the amount of money she was asking for.
And she wasn't asking for money for a bowl of cereal. Trust and believe, baby. Something else. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I'm
Services
just
rendered.
like,
Services
you know,
rendered.
she was using it as an excuse,
And
but I
shoes,
was,
yeah.
you know, me, I'm playing stupid. Like, okay,
Yeah. Like I say, listen look at what they do, not what they say.
yeah.
Go ahead, Ruby. Answer the question. Repeat the question, X.
Yeah, I basically just asked what are your ladies' take on the content that you hear from black male YouTubers? Like, what is your take on it? And I also said, obviously, you're not thin skinned because you listen to my stuff, you listen to the master teacher stuff, you listen to people like Brother Valdez. I mean, what's your take on the content? Where do you stand on it?
Um, well, I would say obviously, and I think B.G.S could probably attest to this more than the average creator, content creator. I don't necessarily agree with everything that I hear, or I might agree with maybe the conclusion, but not some of the supporting points, or I might agree with the supporting points, but not the conclusions. Overall, when it comes to, I guess, this is sort of the content that makes the most sense to me in the area as far as covering issues between the sexes or, you know, even race issues in general. It's just the perspective that tends to make the most sense to me and tends to be supported the most by, you know, the facts and the logic of, you know, either not even just like personal experience, but also the actual statistics, what we're actually seeing. It just kind of all comes together better with these content creators. So I'm a lot, I guess, a lot more fulfilled being here and things here and trying to learn here than else.
Yeah, you've been nourished. I feel nourished myself as well.
Exactly.
Mm. Well, the reason why I ask is because I have a very small female audience. I think I'm like 90 and 10. I think like 90% of my subscribers are dudes and
Sound
the
about
other
right.
10%
It's about right.
are,
Yeah.
are women. Yeah, 10% are women. So I've always wondered what's the interest, because I know all of you ladies here are subscribers of mine. I know that. And I've always wondered, like, why you ladies? Out of all the ladies, why you? Yeah, why you? Why do you subscribe to me? Why do you subscribe to people like Angry Man and B.G.S? Why? Like, what draws you there?
Well,
There.
to you, X, I like your presentation. I'm very visual, artistic, and I like all the live in another plane. So of course, when I like your introduction and your voice, your presence, and compared to the other YouTubers, you do have your own personality that is very, up there, like it's you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliment. I do. I'm flattered.
And
I appreciate that.
yeah, you give us some confidence, finally.
I appreciate that. I'm glad you're aboard, though.
Well,
I'm glad you're aboard the ship. I am.
Well,
A
I
female
would like
audience.
to.
I've been trying for a long time. It's not working
and
very
you
well, but
soft too. You're not so like Angry Man. I mean, he's my first ever because of course he thinks so fast. He has so many ideas and he touched all the points. It's crazy, but he's all over the place.
Yeah, he is all over the place. Yeah. He talks about life. Life is all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm
But
glad that you ladies subscribe to my stuff. I am. I am.
I
There
think
is
ultimately, like for me at least, a lot of things, like the way I found that there was Black YouTube and the Black manosphere in general was because T.P.O.T, I'd never heard it before.
Hmm.
And it seemed like everyone who used the term was coming on to channels that I was on and spouting woman hate. And
Okay.
when I would ask them what MGTOW meant,
Hmm.
their answer was something woman hate-ish. So it didn't, I went on a search to try to find out what it meant.
Hmm.
Most of the channels didn't do a good job answering, and then I found B.G.S's channel that actually had an answer that made sense. And I was like, hey. So blissfully unaware of a lot of things that have been happening in the Black community because I first of all, I'm Canadian,
Hmm.
but even in Canada, I kind of live in the white suburbs, and I kind of always have. So, of the things that we're discussing, whatever, I've always been a couple steps removed, and I've never been super popular anyway. So, like, there's just a lot of things, like, I kind of saw them from the outside. I would take my psych training and be like, okay, that makes sense, and move on. And I never uh, needed, or I guess wanted, a deeper understanding. But now that I'm older, and now, I'm about to bring children into the world, and, I want to be closer to my community outside of just Jamaican people. And I need to understand what's going on. And I think it's a lot. The fact that there's this whole feminazi thing, and the fact that people are disrespecting men and saying they don't need a man in their lives, and like that doesn't make any sense to me because I've always wanted a husband. Like even if I didn't need one, I've always wanted a husband. I've always wanted a man
Hmm.
who is going to be the head of my household, who is going to be the head of my family. Just starting to hear those things come out from people's mouths and in people's messages, and the independent woman thing kind of in the 90s to what it is now, like I think it's incredibly important and refreshing when I find Black male YouTubers who are men and who are delivering a message by a man to men for like men, not not this simp message, not this pandering to women thing, but no, I'm being a man. I'm not spewing woman hate. I'm a man. This is what it is, and so to me, like it's really important to support that because that's what I want to see across the community. It's men acting like men and being the head of their own households and their families. So that's why, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Good answer. Very good answer. Answer. Well, I'll say again, I appreciate you ladies, tuning into my channel and supporting me and, listening to me talk my many, many piles of crap that I have a tendency to talk on here. Um, I do try to, I'm going to be honest with you ladies, though. Some things I do try to appeal to you ladies at times. It's hard for me. It's very hard for me to appeal. Yeah, it is. It just is because, see, a lot of times when I want to appeal to ladies, I have to not be myself.
What?
Yeah, if
Why?
I'm, that's why I don't do it. That's why I don't do it. And
Okay.
I've been told that I should. I've been told by people like,
Mm.
oh, you should do this
Oh
and
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
of course, if you look at my stuff, you know that I don't listen. You can tell that I don't listen to what they're telling me. But from time to time, well, did do some things. Okay, when back when this whole thing was going on and they were they were flagging everybody. I made a
Hmm.
couple videos. I made one called I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, and I also made one called What They Really Want, Strong Masculine Presence. That was kind of geared towards women, but the women that I let it listen to said it was not. So, but in my mind, in my mind, it was. Okay, that was me
It
appealing
wasn't
to
what
women.
they wanted to
Maybe.
hear.
Yeah, it wasn't what they wanted to hear. It
It
wasn't.
wasn't what
It
they
really
wanted to
wasn't.
hear. Yeah.
They didn't say
That's
they didn't
another.
like it. They didn't say they didn't like it, but they said, "Oh, that's not really, that's not really whatever." So I tried. I did try.
I
Make it
try.
a
I try. I try. If I'm going to do something for women, I try to give them what they need, not what they
Mm-hmm.
want to hear. And a lot of times they disagree.
Exactly.
Strongly. Ruby can tell you sometimes strongly.
This this is what
I'm the
this is
problem
what
child.
this
You
is
are
what
my
I
problem
want my
child.
ladies subscribers to do. Y'all to do. I want you to go into the archives of this page, and I want y'all to pull those 2 videos up and watch them if you already haven't, and tell me what you think. One is called "I Am Woman, Let Me Roar," Hear Me Roar, and the other one is called "What They Really Want."
Mhm.
Okay.
Listen to
Okay.
those 2 videos and see if you agree with the other ladies that I let it hear. Let them hear it. Yeah, because you guys are my subscribers. The people that I let hear it, I mean, they don't even really like listen to me. They just kind of heard the video after I made it.
Mhm.
So you guys are my subscribers. So go back in those archives, listen to those 2 videos, and let me know what you think. Shoot me a message or something like that. And let me know if it's if it appeals to you or not.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Hear me
Okay.
roar.
All
I am
input
woman. Hear me
is
roar.
Yeah,
appreciated.
yeah. Should post it, find it, and post it in the comment section of the video so they can actually
Yes.
go back and look at it,
Yes. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you
yeah.
what.
That's right.
so they
That's
can
right.
find it.
That's what
And
I'll
in fact,
do.
a lot of
That's
people are
what
going to
I'll
be
do.
listening to it. Yeah, so they always
Yeah,
refer back.
especially
That's
for
what I'll
me, I'm
do.
dyslexic.
I'll put it. I'll put it in the comment. I will put it in the comment section.
Yeah,
Let me see. I don't really want to go through all my stuff right now,
yeah.
but
You can
I
put it.
will
You can
put
put
it.
it later.
Yeah,
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 I'll put it in the comment
at
section
your
later.
own, at your
yeah.
own time.
And let me know. What you think. Give me some input. Because
For
I
sure.
believe the women that I deal with here, because they're used to this stuff. They've been listening to me talk for 20 years, so I guess they're kind of tired of my crap. But you guys are,
Yeah, they kind
that's
of
it.
run from you after a while. I know the members
Yeah,
of
they
my
do.
family, they stopped arguing
Yeah,
a long time ago. Said they
yeah,
look
they
at
do.
me and said, "Okay, I know he's gonna beat me up with it, so I'm gonna just leave him alone."
That's kind of what I
Unless
get.
they need to know something,
That's kind of
So
what I
why?
get.
I said, why are women asking me about women?
Because
Okay, there's
Like,
we
one.
don't
I
understand
put one in the
ourselves.
chat.
Well,
I did put
no.
one in the chat. I put that one in the chat, so you can pull that up. And I'll put the other one in there as well.
Yeah, BGS, I've been
All right.
slacking these past couple of weeks. I'm supposed to be trolling you with these George Carlin quotes, but
yeah, you have been.
the book is like 500 pages long, so it's hard to pick out which joke to troll you.
To troll me with. Yeah, any good George Carlin troll will be always welcome. It's hard to get
Mhm.
good trolls nowadays. My trolls are
Yeah,
just bad.
yeah. The trolls are horrible.
They're
They're not
horrible.
even good. They're not even good trolls, man. They're just
No.
like they don't
Man,
even troll right.
back in the '90s, the trolls are actually pretty good. They're witty. They were well
Yeah.
read. They were, it was hard to actually go and argue with a troll back then. Now it's like good grief.
Mhm.
They need to have a troll school.
Yeah, because I think the trolls back then they had better reasoning for why they were trolling. The people that are trolling now, they're just doing it for I don't know why they're doing it. I mean, just to aggravate people, I guess. I don't know. There's no
Mhm.
sound reasoning behind why they do what they do, most of them
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Or like a thing that trolls used to do that I don't really see them do anymore is they made statements that they knew would be inflammatory, like they spelled something wrong, but like so obviously, so that way people would respond and correct them 700 times, or they would make a statement that they know is ridiculous, just one statement, respond to it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
even what they believed. They were just trying to get a rise out of people.
Mm-hmm.
more it upset you, the funnier they thought it was.
Mhm.
Now
And they
trolls
make
just come out of their way to insult you, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
that's not
yeah,
trolling. That's
and they
just
make a
being
lot
a
of crap
douche.
up.
Yeah.
Man. You just make it up out of thin air, man. And
It,
just
it,
they'll
it,
say
I
it,
actually had
it,
one that triggered me the other day. He said Puerto Rican started hip hop, and I wrote
What?
him a whole
See?
dissertation and
oh,
was cussing
no.
him out the whole time.
See? It's
Yeah,
I
perfect.
said
that's
Because
a troll.
it's
Yeah.
I
yeah,
said the
you can't
only
help but respond to it. You know it's ridiculous, but you have to. Like
I said the
But the trolls didn't take things personally. These trolls get
mhm.
upset.
Oh
You
yeah.
know.
yeah.
Yes,
But I
they are.
was like, the only good Puerto Rican rapper, he died in 2002 because he was too fat.
oh
No,
what? Oh what?
Who's that? Fat Joe? Who's that?
no, Big Pun.
Big
Oh,
pun.
Big Pun.
Big
Okay, Big
pun.
Pun.
Yeah,
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
yeah. But now they have like
Pun.
Daddy Yankee, and he ain't that good.
It's hard to make a good rapper nowadays. I mean, they're illiterate, so
Oh yeah.
rappers back then actually knew how to read and write. They actually wrote.
Mhm.
These cats don't even know. If you gave them a spelling test, I doubt if they could pass it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And like you were talking about, I was listening to your hangout, and you were talking about Lil Wayne. You know,
Hmm.
he's from the same area as me, and actually my grandma's old house.
Hmm.
That you ever heard of a rapper named BG?
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Yeah, BG used to stay like two houses down the street from where my grandma used to live. And yeah, Lil Wayne, he was basically protected by
Hmm.
Birdman and from the rest of the world since he was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
Yeah, he's
he was
he's actually a very good musician. I saw him pull out
mhm.
the guitar and actually play. So he's no joke. He's not he's
Like
not a dummy.
and he says he's from Holly Grove, but if you drive around that area, that's not a very good area. He probably just claiming that because it makes him seem more hood.
You got nerds in the hood. Lil Wayne was
Mm,
probably a nerd, man.
yeah,
He went to he graduated from college. He's not an idiot. He's not.
but
Yeah, go ahead.
if he was from that area, he didn't stay there very long. I can
No,
tell you
probably not.
that.
Probably not. Oh, is that bad, huh?
Yeah,
I've been in
I wouldn't
uh,
drive around there at night or in
which
the day,
which ward
really.
is which ward is it?
Ooh, I'm not sure which. Uh,
Is it ninth or the fifth?
I think maybe the fifth.
Oh, yeah,
It's,
ooh, yeah.
it's
The fifth is
definitely
pretty
not
bad.
the ninth.
Okay, it's pretty bad. Fifth is pretty bad. In fact, I had a girlfriend I went for years. She actually she didn't grow up in New Orleans, but she raised all her children in New Orleans. So
Hmm.
she was there for 20 years. Yeah.
I stay in what used to be the seventh because call they don't really divide it up by wards anymore. But
Mm-mm.
people who
Hmm.
stayed here for a long time, they'll call it by the different wards. But yeah.
Yeah, it's changed. Yeah, I'm sure it's changed a lot, especially since Katrina.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Well,
probably,
I'm about to close this out,
all
everybody,
right.
because
Let you
it's
go.
gotten late. I can't run these 8 hour
No, I know.
hangouts like B.G.S.
Stamina.
B.G.S. will be on here forever. Once again, I want to thank you, Master Teacher,
Oh, thank you
for
for
coming
having me.
on, brother. Man, I'm so appreciative of this, and I'm going to tell everybody that you are on my stream. Um,
Anytime.
Ladies, don't forget what I said. I put the links in the chat. Those 2 videos right there. I want my subscribers to check those out.
Yes.
Give me your
Will
feedback
do.
on them. Let me know, because if the ladies like them, I might just do another one.
Yeah,
But
do
that's
another one anyway.
yeah, I
Exactly.
might do another one. I might do another one
Yeah.
anyway.
Mhm.
Um, But I want to know what my subscribers think. I mean, I'm not paying attention to the people that are around here.
You sound like you
you
sound like you actually write poetry though, X. You got that vibe about
Actually, I did a little bit.
you. Yeah.
I actually started out in radio. I used to work for a radio station called New Deal
Okay.
Hood Radio,
Okay.
and the guy, he got rid of the station, and what he did is, he gave most of the equipment to me. I'm
Okay.
actually getting ready to start broadcasting again because I have all the stuff here. It's just
Okay.
that my shop gets really, really busy.
Okay.
Between March and say like I'm swamped. So I'm trying to wait until my shop slows down a little bit. Usually it would have by now, but I've had a really good year. So I'm still kind of swamped. So I'm thinking before the end of the year I'm going to do some radio
Hey,
broadcasting,
we pray that it
you know.
stays swamped. Okay.
Yeah, I've been swamped, man. And all this stuff takes time to set up, and a lot of the stuff is like kind of piled in the corner, and all that
Okay.
kind of stuff. So, but we're gonna get it right, y'all. Expect some big things from TPOT.
Oh,
Trust me.
okay. Cool.
For sure.
Cool.
Expect some
Good.
big
Well,
things.
blessing to
Yeah.
all of you. I've been honored.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna be doing another one next week, and hopefully I have a good guest like I had tonight. And once again, I'd like to
Inshallah.
thank all of y'all. Yes, I want to thank all of y'all, and I want to thank the master teacher,
Thank
B.G.S, for
you.
stopping
No,
by.
no, I'm honored.
Right,
I'm honored to be here.
right.
Oh,
I will leave y'all with 3 words, like y'all know I always do. Open
And you
your mind.
and
Mm-hmm.
be out of
Mhm.
All right.
Peace.
All right. Peace.
All right.
Great. Thanks for inviting us in.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for coming
Brother X.
through.
The Prophet of Thought series. Open your mind. Prophet of Thought series. Open your mind. Prophet of Thought series. Open your mind.